Well, it'd be different if he was wearing his Red Sox jersey, right? Then at least you can say, oh, okay, he's a Red Sox guy, and look into him rather than just having him be an American League guy. I get I get that baseball thinks they're going to make more money. I think their approach is completely idiotic and stupid, though, in having these generic American National League jerseys, which, by the way, are extraordinarily ugly.
Oh, my gosh. They're so ugly, right? I didn't understand anything about it. They're terrible. It needs to be more than just a conversation. It just needs to happen. I want to see the players in their jerseys.
I'm with Randy, too, and both of you guys. I'm with Randy, though, in trying to figure out who some of the players are. Now, I watch all over the place. I love watching games. I watch them all night. So I knew who the players were. But the casual fan, no clue.
Right.
Jurickson Profar comes up to the plate. He's been around for over a decade, and people are like, well, who's this guy? I have never really seen him.
Yeah.
And you don't know who he is. Now, if he had a Padres uniform on and you do a little research on the roster and who these players are, you'd have an indication of who he might be. But I'm with you. It's just, look, I understand why Major League Baseball would do this. You put out the uniforms. It's something to sell. It's something different. But you can make the home and away jerseys a little different. Put some gold around the numbers or something to make it special for the All-Star game. Do something different with it, but still have the home jersey, the white jersey, and representing your city.
Cardinals are back in action, by the way. Friday night, they'll play in Atlanta. Blues news, Torey Krug having an arthritic reaction in his ankle and will be shut down for 6 to 8 weeks as he tries to undergo rehab. And then if that doesn't work out, they'll have surgery. And if he wasn't going to have surgery, would they even put it in the release? It seems to me like we're going to do 6 to 8 weeks with rehab, but then we're going to have surgery. Arthritis isn't something that you rehab with rehab.
No.
There's a lot that goes into an arthritic situation. And for me, in reading between the lines, you say, okay, if rehab doesn't work, he's going to have surgery. Why not just say he's going to have surgery?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, it sounds like, of course, he'll miss the entire season. Safe to assume here.
Yeah.
But also, could this be career-ending for him?
Arthritis is not something to be trifled with. I would think that it could be. Arthritis, Bo Jackson had arthritis in his hip after that injury, and that essentially ended his career. There have been multiple athletes whose careers have ended because of bone on bone. And I would think that he will be right there, especially with the ankle where you need that flexibility. And if you have to do some sort of a fusion to make it be comfortable, I would think that would be an issue.
I would think, too, that this gives Scott Perunovich a chance. Power play time. I would look at the top pairings being Letty and Parayko, then Suter and Falk. That's where I was going with. And now bringing in Suter, it makes sense why you did it.
Yep.
It totally makes sense why you did this. And you're wondering, man, you had all these guys coming in. How are they going to play? How's it going to fit? Well, this eases that a little bit, and you have an understanding of where they're going.
And it does give the Blues the flexibility from a cap standpoint. But what we need to keep in mind, the cap is one thing. The cash is another thing altogether. And in this particular situation for this organization, they're not going to win a Stanley Cup this year, and they know that, and they've got players that they want to evaluate. This is another evaluation season. So unless something pops up where there's a 25, 26-year-old, like if Jacob Chikrin would become available cheap, a player like that, he already got moved, but if a guy like that would get moved, a 25, 26, 27-year-old, maybe the Blues would be interested. I would be surprised if the Blues would make a move and get even close to being a cap team this year because of the cash that they still have to pay Torey Krug.
It just is really tough. And look, Torey Krug is a very, very nice guy. You guys have dealt with him on the media side as well. But how will we look back on the signing of bringing in Torey Krug and the contract with the Blues?
I think it still goes back to, I know that, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's reaching here, but it still goes back to not bringing in Pietrangelo and keeping him. Yep. I think the trickle-down effect is being felt even today. And I could be wrong. I don't know if you guys agree with that. I could be wrong about that. But you had to fill some gaps that this guy gave you every single night, and they just haven't been able to do that. With Falk, you can talk about Torey Krug. Now you had to bring in Suter. You've had the emergence of some young guys like Kessel that has helped, but they're still feeling in my mind, the ill effects of not making sure that he stayed a Blue. Would you guys agree?
Yes.
No doubt about that, because he's a guy that when the game is starting to get a little bit out of control and spiral, Petro's a guy that handles things. He can take charge of the team, and Parayko did that to an extent last year, but the Blues could have had that guy for the last 3 or 4 years, a guy who was an all-star, was a blue for life. Yes, that was absolutely the case. And the other part of it is, in my opinion, and you didn't know whether, well, maybe you did. Maybe that's why you made the proactive move to get Falk. But for what Craig Berube wanted and what the organization was when they won the Cup, Joel Edmondson that they traded for Falk was a better fit for what they did than Falk is.
I 100% agree with you guys. I think that more so, too, it's not that he was trying to replace Alex Pietrangelo. Doesn't it seem like he was trying to transition to what he thought that was happening with the NHL? Smaller defensemen, more offensive forward defensemen. Look at Cale Makar. I think a lot of people were trying to emulate that model of what the Avalanche has. But at the same time, not everybody has a Cale Makar and a Nathan MacKinnon on their team. It felt like he was trying to more so transition the team to speed, which also comes with being a smaller size. Now it seems like they're trying to get back to having bigger defensemen on their team.
I'm with you 100%.
I think the cap is going to be, if he doesn't play, you'd get about $3.5 to $4.5 million to play with. But I'm with you, Randy. I mean, you're not going to win the Stanley Cup next year. So how would you allocate those funds if indeed you wanted to?
Yeah, unless you can find a young player that's going to be with you when you are ready to win a cup, there's no reason to go out and get a 29-year-old player now that's making 4, 5, 6. Let's just use his number, $6.5 million a year. That just doesn't make sense right now.
Yeah.
And City is back in action, kids. Tonight, they're in Seattle, and the kickoff's at 9:30 St. Louis time. Sounders are on a 5-game winning streak. They haven't failed to earn a point since their June 8th match against Kansas. And it'll be a snootful, as not only do St. Louis City SC have to take on the Sounders, but then they have to face the wrath of the 12s.
The 12th man is what you're saying?
Oh, yeah. That's a thing in Seattle.
Oh, I've heard about it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I didn't know it was a thing with soccer, too.
I just made it one.
Okay.
He just started that. That's exactly what happened. But after this past weekend, I really don't know what to think about what's going to happen with City SC moving forward. I know that the reinforcements are on the way, but okay, you say it, Randy.
They're kind of scuffling.
Yeah.
And they just aren't as good as a team like Seattle right now. That is not disgraceful. But as we said, the last time Seattle has failed to earn a point was more than a month ago. And so this is not a game where you would pick St. Louis City SC to win.
Mm-mm.
Rock made me sad this morning. I asked him about what's going to happen with City tonight, and there's just not a lot of positives, Rock, right now, and that made me sad.
Yeah, they're probably going to lose.
Okay,
that's just. I mean, they're not. They don't win games. Excuse me. They don't win games away from City Park, and they don't win games right now at City Park the last few times either. And again, the Sounders are on an absolute heater right now. So it's just everything comes together, and it's you're probably not walking out there with 3 points. It's an away game. Be happy with one.
Not your fault. Just made me sad.
This is what it is.
I get accused of hope mongering with City too much. So there's the honesty, people.
Okay,
have fun with it.
You were brightened up by Randy's good morning. A little bit. You got at least a chuckle out of you.
There were some people now on the text line that say that they like it. So normally the text line is going to get negativity. So maybe I should look into it that way, because when Randy, you asked, do people like it? There was a lot of it. Matter of fact, there's some loves it. I loves that thing.
There we go.
I loves that thing. No, didn't get into adorbs, but because I don't think it goes on that scale. I can't even put myself
quantify
to it. No. So you either got to like it or love it or hate it.
Okay, yeah. There's no in between. It's a polarizing
no in between. It's a polarizing thing at 7 a.m.
And it is. Hey, we're in the middle of the summer now. It is July 17th today. Happy July 17th, Hump Day. And maybe you have some midsummer blues. Maybe the rain yesterday got to you. Maybe you're a little bit down. And I'm here to brighten your day. And if you have some issues going on at home, maybe you've got a relationship problem that you need to discuss, Ask Uncle Randy is coming up. Uncle Randy is here for you to make your life a little bit easier, a little bit happier. So all you need to do is text in 314-399-9646, 314-399 Yo-ho! And ask Uncle Randy next on 101 ESPN.
Hey, it's Danny Mac on this Wednesday right before Ask Uncle Randy, and that means let's tell you about Stewart's American Mortgage. If you're someone who is looking to purchase a home or refinance, or if you're looking to consolidate some of that ugly credit card debt, maybe you don't know exactly what direction to go to with any of these things. Hey, let's make it easy for you. Call Stewie from Stewart's American Mortgage. He's going to help you every step of the way. So if it's a new home you're looking to purchase, he'll get you to the closing table fast. Try 10 days, and he'll get you the best interest rate possible. He also has the bagel loan. You hear us talk all the time about the bagel loan here on 101 ESPN. That's going to help you out too. So you're asking, okay, what is the bagel loan? If you borrowed $200,000 or more, there's no underwriting fees, no appraisal fees, no title fees, no lender fees, and no closing cost. Stewart is your guy, and he makes it very easy for you. Any questions on rates, the industry, the trends, give Stewart a call. Call him directly on his personal cell phone, 314-324-4440. Again, that number, text him, call him, he'll pick up 314-324-4440, or you can Google the bagel loan.
NMLS number 226715.
I know we've got a lot of questions this morning, so Matthew, why don't you take it away and tell us what the peeps want to know about?
Sorry, I need to turn my mic on to talk
That's
to
okay.
people.
That's fair.
It's a basic part of the job that I forgot this morning. Dear Uncle Randy, have you heard any new information as to whether or not the Bears are building their new stadium with their own money in the suburbs, or are they using taxpayers' money? I don't understand how cities still keep giving money to these franchises. What's your opinion on the situation?
All right, two things here. The Bears right now are negotiating with Chicago to build a new stadium right there on the lakefront near Soldier Field, and it would be primarily publicly funded. Right now, the Arlington situation is off the table. They aren't going to do that because they couldn't work out a deal there. Having been victimized by the NFL, and I was all on board with us in St. Louis providing nearly $500 million to keep the Rams in St. Louis. But the NFL, by a vote of 30-2, told St. Louis, and as far as I'm concerned, told every city in America, yeah, we don't need your public money because we can go somewhere else and build with strictly private money, which is exactly what Stan Kroenke did when he built SoFi Stadium in L.A. That being said, okay, and that's my personal belief, is that they told everybody, every single public entity, we don't need your money when they did that. But here you have New York taking money out of their education budget to help build a stadium for the Buffalo Bills. You have Nashville. Is it $2.2 billion, Brooke?
Yes.
Nashville is spending to build a stadium. Now, the Titans are spending a good portion of that. And Mike Tirico, in one of the last couple of years, the Rams were here. We were talking about it with him in the fast lane. He was in town doing a Monday night game, and I think he put it well. He said, there's 32 of these pieces of gold in the world. There's 32 franchises, and think of them all as a gold nugget, and there's 32 of them. They're priceless, and you have to do everything you can to maintain that little piece of gold. And we did. We just lost ours, but for cities like Nashville and Chicago and Buffalo, even though there really isn't a recourse for them if they want to go somewhere else, I don't blame them for wanting to keep their piece of gold.
One other factor in this question from the texter had to do with the suburbia/city factor of them trying to move it out of the downtown area and into one of the suburbs of the city of Chicago. Obviously, teams have done that, and I think maybe in the next 20 years, as it has been in the past, that might become a topic of conversation around St. Louis. What are your thoughts about paying a bunch of money and then moving it out of the actual downtown area?
Well, my opinion now, with all due respect to downtown St. Louis, but I think our downtown, unless you're going for a sporting event, is Clayton. If you're going to go to a nice restaurant, if you're going to stay in a hotel, Clayton is really our downtown. So the county is essentially our downtown. You look at Buffalo, you look at Kansas City with Arrowhead, you don't need to have your stadium in a football stadium that's used on Sundays in downtown St. Louis. So if there would be a piece of land that could pop up in the county, or I wouldn't even be averse to Illinois. I know a lot of people would, but there's a lot of land in Illinois. I wouldn't be averse to that if somebody would be willing to build, and that was the way to get a franchise. I don't think that'd be bad at all. Anybody want to add anything to that?
Says, oh, sorry.
Well, I'm just listening. I like it when you get into this stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I haven't fully paid attention just yet, but that was
To
very
Randy or to the
interesting.
situation?
No, to the situation. I always pay attention to Randy and to all of you guys, but I haven't paid attention fully. I didn't realize that they were trying to move it from the city to the county. I wish it would stay in the city. The thing that bothers me, I'm a huge NFL fan in general, but the thing that bothers me is the veiled threat of if you don't follow what they want, then they have examples of how they get their way and how they could move things out of the state, out of your city. That's what I don't like the approach-wise with
And
the NFL.
that's what they're doing in Kansas City right now in terms of moving over to Kansas. All right, Matthew, sorry about that.
3140 says, ask Uncle Randy, did that 10 p.m. guy ever text back? I need an update.
We did hear back from him, right? And they have reached some sort of an accord, kind of like the
I still need an
peace
update.
talks.
I still need an update.
I'd like a weekly update
Yeah, exactly.
on how that
Thank you,
thing's
Danny.
going.
Thank Danny's getting what I'm going for.
So,
Yeah.
10 p.m. guy, his wife ran her own business and was out with friends late at night, 10 o'clock, 10, 11 o'clock.
Multiple days during the week.
Yeah, well, he was home in bed taking care of the kids ostensibly. So, we would like to hear back. I know everything's hunky-dory now.
Randy, my son plays football, and he always says he wants me to coach, but I like to watch better. It feels like I miss things when I'm coaching, and I can't focus on my kid.
If your kid wants you to coach him, you do everything you can to coach him. Now, you don't necessarily have to coach the team, but you can find ways to coach him. And I guess part of this is I don't know your coaching ability either, but I'm assuming that you aren't a veteran coach. But if your kid, and again, is he a young kid? If your youngster wants you on the sideline with him, I think that's a great bonding experience, and I think that you should do everything you can to do it. I don't think you should worry about missing parts of the game. And then while you're coaching, you can focus on him. It's not hard to watch the whole field.
Then you're even closer with him.
Yeah, right.
It's not hard to watch the whole thing. It is football. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like it's, where's the kid playing?
So
what position is he playing?
You could form an even closer bond. Maybe the other question is he worried about being too harsh on his son because he would be the coach?
Well, that might be, but you have to have your head about you. That's one of the things about coaching is, who was I talking to? Oh, it was Coach Becht. Because he looks so emotionally invested. He said, nope, I've always got my head. He said, I always know the situation, and that's something that you consciously have to find a way to do.
Dear Uncle Randy, I have a collection of bourbon that is beginning to get quite extensive. Some might call it obsessive, but fear of missing out is a real thing. How does one self-regulate a hobby?
Here is my opinion on this, and I think I've thought a lot about this. If it makes you happy, if it sparks joy, go for it. Do it. If you have something that makes you happy, take advantage of your ability to do that right now, because you're not going to live forever, and you might as well live life being happy. So I'm that way. I'm Danny, I know you're probably this way with golf clubs and golf stuff, right?
Yeah.
If it sparks joy in you, and it's not costing your family, if your bourbon collection isn't causing you to not be able to put food on the table, go for it. I have no problem at all with people that have hobbies or interests that make them happy. I think that's something that we need to take advantage of in life.
We have an update, apparently.
From 10 o'clock guy?
Yeah, 10 p.m. guy here.
Bulletin, apparently official.
Agreement has been reached. We are trying for kids next month. That's quite the reversal.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah, so they didn't have
adorbs.
kids.
Adorable.
Oh, that is adorbs. That's an adorbs update. Wouldn't you say, Dan? Does that qualify as adorbs?
Absolutely, it does.
Okay, good to know.
Why are we
Yes.
waiting until next month?
Oh.
You're saying just let it rip.
Well, here, look, maybe it's a timing thing. So right now, it's July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April. Why are we waiting until next month? What's the difference
To
between
get all
March
their
and April?
ducks in a row.
Tax season.
April, May. Oh,
Who knows?
Money, house. There could be a lot of different factors.
okay.
I would love to know how the agreement went, though.
I would. And was there an arbitrator? Was somebody going to win a Nobel Peace Prize
Mediator.
for this?
Yeah.
Maybe you were.
Maybe I was. That's a good point. All right, Matthew, let's do one more just for fun.
Dear Uncle Randy, I'm moving to Paducah, Kentucky area next month.
Nice.
I can only get
Congratulations.
the Bally, Ohio channel that shows the Reds games, but it is still a Cardinals blackout area. God, that's so dumb. What should I do to watch the Cardinals? Oh my God.
I think that there are people that maybe they'll help us out on the text line. Maybe they'll help us out on the YouTube chat. But we need to find a way to pirate these games for you. I think that's the bottom
Seriously.
line. Yeah. There are ways to pirate. That's ridiculous. So you can buy MLB.TV in Paducah, Kentucky, and have the games be blacked out. But that is the reality of the situation right now.
I think that's the home of Steve Finley.
Finn Dog.
Yeah, Finn Dog. He had some good years.
Yeah.
He was
had
pretty good.
300 home runs.
Padres. Was with the Dodgers at one point, I believe.
Danny.
Pretty good. Pretty good player.
Immaculate grid this morning. I was devastated.
Why?
Would you think that Pedro Guerrero would have hit 300 home runs?
No.
I had him as a 300 home run guy. I screwed up.
Oh, okay.
So
You know better than I, though.
Well, here's what I do now. Just to challenge myself a little bit, I try to, if there's an immaculate grid, I try to put a former Cardinal in every square, okay? And this is where I killed myself, because what you needed was a Red Sox and Dodger. And I put Reggie Smith in there.
Okay, that's a good one.
3%. But I was thinking Tudor, because that was probably a low percentage too. If I would have put Tudor in that slot, I could have put Reggie Smith in the Dodger 300 plus home run slot, and I would have had no problem at all. But I was absolutely convinced that Guerrero only had 215 career home runs.
That actually doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Even though, because I think about the era.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you would have placed him in 10 years later, he might have 400.
Yeah, right.
Seriously.
Yep.
I mean, the way that the era was played, the home runs hit, it's accepted to strike out, all those things.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. So anyway, I screwed up and I left a cell blank because I had Guerrero as a 300 home run.
Is this how you lather up for a show?
You know what? I keep reading all these things like in my AARP bulletins about how old people need to keep their minds sharp.
That's
So
a good way to do it.
I do Wordle. I do Immaculate Grid. I do connections on the New York Times thing. Yeah, I just try to keep my mind sharp.
Usually a fighter complains when there's not a glut of baseball questions on the fight. So I'll say this right now. Next time I do a lot of football questions and not baseball, you're welcome. Good Lord, the man's a savant. Why do you want baseball questions? He can rattle off every team that every Cardinals played for in the last 50 years.
That's a good point.
Like,
honestly.
you want baseball questions
Yeah.
against this guy? What do you people are gluttons for punishment? You like losing 3-2?
I was so mad when the Cardinals traded Reggie Smith for Joe Ferguson. And they had Ted Simmons.
Yeah.
Joe Ferguson wasn't playing here. And but Reggie wanted to be in L.A., wound up being a world champion in L.A. But, man, he was a good player, underrated player.
In the fight, do you think you're more well-versed in football or in baseball?
Ooh, good one. I think because...
I mean, you're in the 99th percentile in both here,
Yeah.
buddy.
I think because I grew up with my dad as such a football fan, the first sports event that I can remember watching on TV was Super Bowl III, Colts and Jets. So I think my foundation is probably a little bit better in football than baseball. So then I would have been 5 when Colts and Jets played Super Bowl III. Turned 6 that year.
You have amazed me since I joined the show. I knew that you knew a lot of stuff, but the football stuff is kind of taking me back. I mean, kind of scary, honestly.
Well, see, I grew up, so my dad was a Packers fan. Cardinals were bad. So I liked the Vikings because the Vikings were dominant. So I remember the Joe Cap, Gary Collazo, Tarkenton years. They get Ahmad Rashad. They've got
Who
John
doesn't?
Gilliam. They had the Purple People Eaters. Chuck Foreman. Chuck Foreman was this. Bill Brown, number 30, running back for them, stud. Paul Krause, that was
Yeah.
Bobby Bryant at corner.
There are, I would say, 99.9% of Americans, including those in Minnesota, that couldn't just do what you did.
Oh, it was a fun team.
Well, I get it, but I mean, that's incredible.
I liked Bud Grant.
I did too.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the way where it is.
Who was the guy on that had the meltdown for the Viking? It's the best post game ever.
Denny, no, he was
not
with the
Denny
Cardinals.
Green.
You're thinking Jerry Burns.
Jerry Burns. It's the best.
Yeah.
If you get a
replaced
chance,
Bud
go
Grant.
on YouTube and watch it.
Yeah, Les Steckel.
It's hilarious.
So, coming up at SEC Media Days yesterday, Eli Drinkwitz kind of played it. He kind of soft pedaled things for Mizzou. We'll hear what Eli had to say next time, 101 ESPN.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Last night in the All-Star game, the American League walked away as winners 5-3. The only offense the National League got was an early home run from Shohei Ohtani. Back in action today, it's the St. Louis City SC. They will face off against Seattle Sounders. It is an away game, so it'll be a late kickoff tonight on the West Coast, 9:30 kickoff there. The Sounders are on a 5-game winning streak. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
You know, there's a saying, opportunities of a lifetime must be seized within the lifetime of an opportunity. I don't know if that's going to, I'll say this, for my career at the University of Missouri, I think it was a defining moment. Because I think if we don't get Luther at that moment, we don't grab the momentum. And I think you start to lose momentum and probably, they go in a different direction. But now, I think we're going to continue to recruit elite players. I think there's going to be elite players that want to continually join the University of Missouri program. I think Luther is a special talent, and I think he took off when he realized that talent alone was not enough to be an elite player. You have to have an unyielding work ethic. You have to have energy about what you do. You have to have details. You have to be gritty. You can't be taking your stuff down off social media after a bad game. You have to be consistent in who you are, and he's embraced that.
That was Mizzou head football coach Eli Drinkwitz. SEC Media Days happening, and a lot of people are wanting to talk to Eli Drinkwitz because the way that they have really transformed the Mizzou football program, it's been something that has been talked about a lot and is getting a lot of national attention. And I thought that that was a very interesting answer. So that was that SEC podcast. They asked him specifically that bringing in Luther Burden and keeping him at Mizzou, if that was a defining moment in his career. And I agree with him. I think a lot of people, and I will admit, including myself, thought that Luther Burden would probably transfer maybe after a year or two, but keeping Luther Burden there really has helped transform Mizzou's football program.
And I'll start with this. I don't think that it would have happened that way had it not been for the late, great Demetrius Johnson.
Yes.
I think DJ's the reason that Burden went to and then stayed at Mizzou, because DJ oversaw his NIL opportunities here in St. Louis. And now Burden has joined the William Morris agency. He's gone national, so it's a different situation. It's impossible to disagree with Eli, isn't it? If anybody's going to talk about a defining moment for him at the program, it's him. And getting Burden and building the momentum to where they are now, it was a watershed moment. And I think the other thing, guys, is when Burden committed to Mizzou, he said, I'm going to try to recruit other St. Louis area players to Mizzou, and he has clearly succeeded.
I also think that they adjusted the offense for him. He's the primary target, clearly, but the Tigers went vertical, and they moved Luther Burden inside, and they've gotten him the ball a much quicker pace that allows him to make plays. So they've adjusted as they've learned more about him and vice versa, and I think that's a real important point that needs to be made.
I wonder how important it was, as it turns out, for Dominic Lovett to leave.
Exactly. Yeah, because it really opened the door for Luther Burden. And now everybody's talking about Luther being the best receiver in the nation. I don't think that's a stretch whatsoever.
No. As a matter of fact, I think we hit on it last week. Pro Football Focus has Luther Burden as the 7th best player coming up in the draft, best skill position player in the draft. Running back, quarterback, wide receiver. They've got him as the best of that group.
Don't you think, too, that credit needs to go to Eli in terms of, at this point, for giving up play calling and then the arrival of offensive coordinator Kirby Moore from Fresno State? They were in the top 20 in yards per play. That was up from 87 the year before. Led the nation at one point in red zone scoring after ranking 90 the year before. So they made some changes offensively. That helped out. And Brady Cook, that's the other part. This time last year, a lot of people were wondering, wondering, is he the right guy, and would he be able to sustain an early, if he had some bumps in the road, would he be able to sustain any kind of success to remain the starter? I mean, that was being talked about at this time last year, and he became truly a dual threat. And so they have a QB that can get him the ball. Talking about Luther Burden, they've got talent. They've got good offensive linemen. They're flipping commits all over the place. They've got a great NIL deal set up for the state of Missouri. So everything has kind of fell into place for Eli, and he deserves credit, and the university deserves credit for staying with him.
NIL is really a big part here because Eli Drinkwitz was asked a lot about that, and he was asked about this on the podcast as well, that SEC podcast, about who has the nicest car in the parking lot, which is kind of refreshing because, of course, this has been something that's been going on behind the scenes for a while, but now you can actually fully address it with NIL. This is what he had to say.
Brady's got a Ford Bronco jacked up, pretty nice. Connor Tolson's got a heck of a Ford.
I saw you bouncing in something.
I've got it.
Yeah. How do you even do something like that? Bounce a car.
Look, I've got the best car dealer in the country, Rusty Drewing Automotive. Rusty's a great guy. He takes care of me. He was the first one to buy into, if you want to recruit 5-star players, you got to drive a 5-star car. And he believes it. So he put me in a Maybach, and he taught me how to bounce. And it works, man.
I love it.
What do you want me to do? I mean, it's a nice car. And
would it bounce if I'm in it?
Yes. Mercedes are remarkably well-built machines. And, yeah, it definitely would bounce. You come to a game, I'll put you in it, bounce.
It's so funny to hear Eli Drinkwitz talk about that. If you haven't seen the video of Drinkwitz in the Maybach, he does make it bounce, but he's right. All that stuff matters now in the game. It has been a factor, but now you can actually talk about it and talk about the players who are really benefiting from NIL, which includes Brady Cook, Luther Burden, all the guys that you listed, Dan, even more players on this team. Is Mizzou really taking over and showcasing how NIL can be utilized and how it can quickly change a program?
I would say yes, and the way that the state of Missouri has stepped up and changed laws to make this easier. I mean, they have done a hell of a job in doing that, and to Eli's credit, he's embraced it, and you have to embrace it. But, I mean, how about his comment there about if you're going to get 5-star recruits, you better have 5-star cars?
Yep.
I kind of like it. I think it's funny.
Too.
Yep. And credit, by the way, to the boosters and the fan base. Back in the late 90s, when Larry Smith, he was in his first year, and he was just getting his feet on the ground, and he had been at USC, so he knew big-time football. And I was in Columbia and ran into him and just kind of hanging out in the hallway, and I was in his office, and I said, "How do you like it so far?" And he said, "You know what's interesting here?" He said, "This fan base, they think they're big time, but they have no idea what big time is." It wasn't an affront. It wasn't that they couldn't be big time. He said they just don't know what big time is, the boosters. And that goes to financing things. Well, now, especially in the SEC, the Mizzou boosters and fan base are doing a fantastic job in terms of facilities, in terms of providing money for NIL, and I think Eli's been a huge part of that. But there's no doubt that this fan base, this group of boosters, they understand what big time is.
When they moved to the SEC, that was it.
Yeah.
That was the key. And if you want to become big time, you're going to have to be one of the players in college football. You go to the SEC.
And Gary Pinkel knew that. So
Absolutely.
all the credit goes to Gary Pinkel to getting it started.
See, that's when I think it changed.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get great players, and you needed a great player to be the first guy to commit and say, we're going to play for him. But generally speaking, if you're going to be a big-time player, yes, you need the kids, but you also need to be able to say, you're going to play in the best conference in America. You're going to be able to showcase your skills against the best players in America. Go to the SEC. And when they went to the SEC, to me, all bets were off.
I personally will be disappointed if Mizzou isn't a playoff team, if they aren't one of the 12 playoff teams.
100%. That's the expectation.
Yeah. So you agree with that, Daniel?
I do. I look at the schedule. It plays out perfectly. And then get ready for Alabama. That is going to be the big, big game. They'll be undefeated going into that game. At least they should be.
Right. Coming up, it's Take It or Leave It. Get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho! Take It or Leave It coming your way on 101 ESPN.
Take it or leave it.
Want to say something? Want to put it out there? If you like it, you can take it. If you don't, send it right back.
Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your take it or leave it.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
Time for Tioli here on 101 ESPN. Guys, Stewart Haas Racing announced yesterday that they have put an image of Caitlin Clark squarely on the hood of Josh Berry's number 4 Ford Mustang, and they will officially debut the cool look at the Brickyard 400 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Caitlin Clark, of course, of the Indiana Fever, now is going to be the image on the hood of a NASCAR vehicle. Take it or leave it. This is going to make Angel Reese very angry.
I will take it.
Take that
100%.
for sure. Now,
what do I have to do?
Here's an honest question. I mean, that is prime real estate on top of the hood of a car. So who's paying? I mean, is it just for that one race to kind of curry favor with the fans and get maybe more attention to your car? So it gets more attention to the advertisers that are part of it? Or you're at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. She plays in Indiana. Does that make sense? I wonder why they did that.
So here it is. The paint scheme is part of a partnership between Stewart Haas and Panini America, which just recently released a Caitlin Clark collection of trading cards.
There you go. That's the end.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. I was worried about if you could fit a Wonder Bread advertisement or not. I was wondering if that would be able to fit.
You have both?
Talladega Nights reference.
I know, do that.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you could just put Caitlin Clark on the hood. Or on the windshield, I mean.
Yeah.
Have her on the windshield.
Safety first.
Was it Fig Newtons on the windshield?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
That's a good call.
I can't see, but Fig Newtons are delicious.
This is really dangerous, but I do love Fig Newtons.
I do love Fig Newtons. All right, take it or leave it. So the NBA, I know that it always happens, but it seems like talks are actually coming up even more so with the NBA and expanding. Take it or leave it, they should look at St. Louis.
I'm going to take it that they should, but I'll leave it that we get a team. I think it's a fait accompli. They had their owners' meetings in Vegas. So Vegas is getting one of the teams and Seattle's getting the other.
You're right. So the leaders right now are Seattle and Las Vegas, but Silver has also previously talked up Mexico City.
Yeah, I think international for sure. Mexico City seems right. And it seems like at any point in time, if you need leverage, just say Nashville. One of the fastest growing cities in our country. And people are flocking towards Nashville, Tennessee, so that would make some sense too.
Yeah. Players would be losing their heads in Mexico City.
Awful.
Randy.
Sorry.
No.
I was very curious about the lack of offense. Yeah, Randy. I was curious about the lack of offense in Major League Baseball. In 1999, a total of two teams hit below 260 in the first half. In 2024, two teams have hit above 260. That is it. Two teams above 260. Take it or leave it. It'll be the first time in baseball that we see no team hit above a 260 average before the season is through.
Dan, I'm going to take that.
So in the American League, the Red Sox are hitting 255 in the National League, so they trail the Astros at 262. In the National League, the Padres are hitting 261. I mean, think about that. You're not going to have a team collectively hit above 260 this year, which may happen.
That's crazy.
It should tell you just how dominant pitching has been and how hard it is to hit.
There are right now, at the All-Star break, after about 100 games, 12 players in all of baseball hitting above 300. That's
wow.
It. 12.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Bryce Harper's number 12 at 301. Number 13 is Yordan Alvarez at 296.
So, Danny, my takeaway shouldn't be that all hitters in baseball have gotten lazy and are bad at baseball.
That's correct.
What?
No.
Yeah.
That should what?
That's just my personal opinion.
God,
yeah. Well, so Dan, when I was over at the clubhouse the other day, I actually asked Brendan Donovan about why he thinks that hitting is down across the league, and he did say the uber specialized pitching that we're seeing now. But I asked him about what you have brought up about the scheduling, and he actually said, I haven't thought about that, but that actually is a big factor because then you're not seeing the pitchers as often as you would in the past.
Yeah, and I think teams are so dependent on seeing a pitcher multiple times and then video. I just think they get too dependent on some of this stuff instead of see ball, hit ball. But I say that, and it's obviously very, very tough to do right now.
Yep. Matthew, what do you got on the text line?
The MLB is now just an entire league entire league of Dave Kingmans. Dave Kingman was ahead of his time. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave that.
I actually like that one.
Dave Kingman would be a star today, by the way.
Yes, he would. He'd make a ton of money.
Yeah. But I don't think it's an entire league of Dave Kingmans, because I think one of the things, back again, you go back to 98, 99, power hitting was so much better then, too. And we've lost that. Kingman was a great power hitter. We've got a lot of guys hitting a lot of home runs, but we aren't going to have nearly as many home run hitters as we had, 30 home run guys, as we had in 98, 99.
This is an interesting point from the 314. Then what's the point of putting all this emphasis on analytics if it's not showing results?
It is showing results because the start of analytics was in run suppression. And
that's
now
where I was going to go with
analytics is trying to find a way for run production, but they can't find a way to overcome what they wrought in run suppression.
Exactly. It's exactly right.
Take it or leave it. You would take the last 10 years of the Royals over the last 10 years of the Cardinals, because even though the winning percentage is worse, they have more playoffs wins and a championship.
I'm going to leave that, even though they do have that championship and the 2 trips to the World Series. And the Cardinals don't have a single trip to the World Series. But there's a lot of last places, a lot of bad seasons there for the Royals.
Lack of hope. At least you have hope going into seasons with the Cardinals. And even last year, there was a lot of hope going into the season. Obviously, it was awful. And this year, you had a lot of hope going into this season. And so did the Royals. They made a bunch of moves, went out in free agency, spent money. Rock is laughing at me. But you got to have hope. You got to have hope, Rock.
By the way, there are people out there that are not about the journey, that apparently just kind of tune in come playoff time, which is fine, but that would, for example, they would rather have the last 25 years of the Marlins than the last 25 years of the Cardinals.
Right.
There are some people whose only gauge for enjoyment of a sports team is winning a championship.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I'm going to have to leave that one.
It's also, for a lot of people, the only measure.
Yep. Yeah.
So you're going to get enjoyment, but they say the only thing is win. If you win, just win, baby.
Yep. Last year, the Royals were 56 and 106. A year before that, 65 and 97, 74 and 88. Think of this. 71 wins was a complete disaster for the Cardinals last year.
Right.
The Royals went 74 and 88, and it was a good year for them. In the COVID year, they went 26 and 34. 2 years before that, 59 and 103, 58 and 104, 80 and 82, 81 and 81, and then obviously the 2 World Series years before that.
Yeah.
Don't you think that also fan expectation is very different for the Royals? I know that there will always be fans that have very high expectations, but I feel like it's more so for the Cardinals. Even you have to look outside of the 10 years, but if you're just looking at the franchise history and everything they've built with the Cardinals, the expectations, of course, are a lot higher versus the Royals.
Right.
Now, they do have Bobby Witt Jr., who's very exciting to see, but I think overall the expectations are different from the fan bases.
No doubt about it. And the thing is, when their team is winning, their fans show up. When our team is doing the same things, our fans don't show up.
Well, the other thing, too, about the Royals, the expectations were high when they won, and they did that because they built that team up. And the only problem that they didn't do, in my opinion, is they didn't stagger contracts. So all those guys came up at the same time, and the expectations of that team was to win, and they did. And then they knew after that, and the fans knew it too, they weren't going to be able to keep all these guys, and it was going to be torn down. Now, they did have an outfield at one point of Beltran,
Soler.
No, I'm talking going
Beltran,
back.
Damon, and Dye.
Jermaine Dye. Yeah. And so they couldn't keep them together, but this group stayed together and won, and that was the difference.
And when's the last time Kansas City went out and made a Matt Holliday trade, a Nolan Arenado trade, a Paul Goldschmidt trade?
Right.
When's the last time that they went and got a big money superstar to add to the mix?
I would imagine that they do that in the next couple of years because of Bobby Witt Jr., the investment that you made, and they're going to be pretty good. They're going to be very good. I was impressed with what I saw when they came through St. Louis. I was like, this team's pretty good.
Yeah, they never have, Matthew. You don't need to think about it.
I was like, did they add an outfielder during those two World Series
Zobrist
runs?
and Cueto. That's it.
Okay. Zobrist was who I was thinking. I was like, I feel like there's like an outfielder utility guy I'm blanking on completely. He's had a rough run since. Take it or leave it. The biggest reasons adults still like summer is because we just didn't have school as a kid. Take it or leave it. You didn't actually like summer as a kid. You just hated school.
I'm going to leave that. I really did enjoy summer.
Oh, yeah.
I did too.
It's an interesting theory, though.
But I have a summer birthday,
sunny.
too.
Yeah.
You have one coming up.
August 19th.
August 19th. What are we supposed to get you? I don't make carrot cake.
I don't need anything. I'm good.
Oh, no, it's a Randy Palooza, Dan.
Absolutely. You do like a whole week, right?
Seriously, no, a whole week. And it's nonstop people bringing things in for Randy.
It's because they love you, bro.
Well, I appreciate you guys loving me. Thank you. I love you guys, too.
I said they.
They. Oh, okay.
Wow.
You're not
Randy.
wrong. You're not wrong. Okay, so that's Teola here on 101 ESPN. Coming up, Jalen Brunson of the Knicks took a huge discount to stay in New York. Is that something that more athletes, in our opinion, should do? That's next on 101 ESPN. I was over at the Fenton Bar and Grill for lunch on Friday, and all of the servers, Megan and Kelly and Casey, they were all wearing their 101 ESPN T-shirts, which was pretty cool. We have such a great partnership with them, and I love them because they have great food, great people, and they're all about sports. If you're looking for a great place to have a lunch or maybe a happy hour, maybe after golf or a great dinner, you want to watch a game, Fenton Bar and Grill is the place to go. They have the best trash wings that you will ever have. When you go into the Fenton Bar and Grill, you get into the parking lot and you can smell them, and it's absolutely delicious. Order them up with some of their signature award-winning golden sauce, or perhaps you can have some ranch dressing, and you'll love the trashed wings, but you'll love everything on the menu, and you can see that menu by going to FentonBarandGrill.com or finding them on Facebook. But when you go, you're going to run into people that you like, people that have the same kind of feelings as you, because we're all sports fans, and on all the TVs they're going to have sports. Tonight you'll be able to watch the St. Louis City SC game at the Fenton Bar and Grill. But whenever you stop by, tell them Randy sent you. You'll have a great time. Say hi to all the people, and they'll treat you very well, and the food will be absolutely delicious when you go to the Fenton Bar and Grill, 2 minutes from the soccer park in Fenton on Rudder Road. To learn more at FentonBarandGrill.com.
perspective on today's top stories. This is Fresh Take.
Presented by Lindenwood University. Real experience, real success.
St. Louis time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Brooke, Dan, and Randy. And last week, Jalen Brunson of the New York Knicks signed an extension, 4 years, $156.5 million. Now, you'd say that's really great. The kid is set for life, and he is. But what turned heads is that if he would have waited until next offseason, Brunson could have signed a 5-year deal worth $269.1 million. Brunson left $113 million on the table. He could have had 113 more had he waited till next year. But what Brunson had done is studied Patrick Mahomes, took less money to stay with the Chiefs to keep people on his roster. Tom Brady took less money with the Patriots to keep people on his roster. Derek Jeter with the Yankees took less money so that the Yankees would sign and keep other players. And so Brunson was willing to say, you know what? It'd be nice to have $269.1 million, but I can live on $156.5 million. But I want to win. I really admire that. And by the way, here's the breakdown. If he would have waited until next year in the 25-26 season, he would have made $46 million. Instead, he'll make $34.9, essentially $35 million. You know what? If you spend $35 million that you make in 1 year and you could have gotten by on $46.3 million, but not $35, you're an idiot. So the way I look at it is, and I wish more athletes would look at it this way. This guy's highly competitive, and it's all about winning for him. And he knows 269 versus 156. If he spends $156.5 million and blows through it with his posse or whatever, I don't think he has a posse. But if you blow through $156.5 million, you got real problems.
That's an outlier. He is.
Yeah.
I applaud it. I admire it. I think he's crazy. I do. If I was in that position, I'm getting the most money I can. My shelf life, and I understand it's about winning. You want it from a fan's perspective. It is about winning. That's all you care about. You want to see your guy. You want to see him win. But as an individual, if I'm looking at it from that lens and I'm the player that has a chance to get $100 more million, I'm doing it. And I know that's not what fans want to hear. I get it. But that's what I'm doing.
Here's the thing. What are you buying extra? What are you going to get with $269.1 million that you can't get with $156.5?
So I'm different probably than most. I would probably look at charitable efforts and take that money and try to do as much charity and goodwill I could in my hometown, places that need it, people that need it. I'm serious. That's something I would do. You're right. If you can't live off of what he's making, you're an idiot. I mean, you're a buffoon.
Yeah.
I get it. But from a sports perspective, I applaud it. I admire the fact that he'd do it. Just me as an individual, I wouldn't do it, and I'd find ways to distribute that money in an appropriate way.
I think it shows just really how unselfish he is, and as you mentioned, how competitive he is and how much he really wants to build this team up and do anything possible. And when it comes to money, you're right. That is a lot of money to pass up. But at the end of the day, he's going to recoup it. I mean, is there different incentives in the contract, too, where if they win in the playoffs, say, make it to the finals, I'm sure there's some other incentives in that contract. But also, he's already getting a lot of other money from endorsement deals. He was seen just yesterday shooting a Nike commercial, so I'm sure he's making a lot of money off of that. I like when players do that. We've seen even recently Patrick Mahomes doing that with his contracts to make sure that they could really build up their Super Bowl winning team. So I like it from that aspect of you already know you're making a lot of money. If you're smart with it, then it won't disappear. If anything, you'll get that money back in different ways.
Now, on the flip side, if he would blow out both his knees and couldn't come back and play, think the organization would take care of him?
No.
Not a chance. Not a chance.
Well, he still gets 156.5.
I understand that, but I'm talking about if he says, well, he's leaving $100 million on the table is what I'm saying. So would the organization say, man, you were such a good guy to do this. We're going to take care of you in this way and that way? No way. I just don't see them doing that. I think also something around this, too, is you have to look at certain states and the tax breaks that you get. And I think that is something that is very impactful that doesn't get talked enough about in free agency in all sports of where you might wind up in playing because of the tax ramifications.
Yeah, we've even seen that recently with the NHL. Barry Trotz, the GM over with the Nashville Predators. Obviously, everybody saw what the Nashville Predators have done this offseason. There is a cap space that is involved with this, but he was asked about if it was a huge advantage to be able to be in that situation. Tennessee is one of those states that you're talking about, Dan, where it does actually benefit. And he said 100%. It's a huge advantage for us in attracting players.
Do you guys remember the Celtics offered $48 million to Grant Williams, and he was cognizant of the tax impact, which would require the Celtics to exceed the $54 million offer he received from Dallas in order to be competitive. And he said, no thanks. There was also the benefit of the property relief for some athletes that have straight up said that the taxes were a major factor. And so I do think that that is a part of what free agents look at is what state am I going to play at so I get reduced taxes.
I remember when Keith Lyle signed an extension with the Rams, the contract was actually signed in Florida because the rules at that time, and I don't know if they still exist, but the rules at that time allowed him to take advantage of the Florida tax rules. Even though he was playing in Missouri, the Florida tax rules applied to him. And I guess the biggest one is Albert Pujols, who would have netted more had he taken the Cardinals' $210 million offer rather than the Angels' $240 or $240. If he would have taken the Cardinals' $210 million, he would have netted more than he did as a member of the Angels.
And part of that is my understanding is that you had Dan Lozano, who's the agent for Albert, who broke away from his agency saying, I've got the highest paid player in the game, so you want to become a high paid player, join me. That's where the agents get involved too, and that's one of the problems where the original point of the segment, you're talking about one individual walking away from over $100 million. It just doesn't happen. Agents won't let that happen. They just won't. No. And that's where, does the agent work for the player or vice versa?
And the amazing thing with that situation, at the winter warm-up the year before, after the 2010 season, Albert was asked, would you go somewhere else? He said, why would you want to go somewhere else for $3 million a year more? Signed a 10-year contract for $30 million more. Exactly $3 million a year more.
I like everything that Brunson's doing. The grass is not always greener on the other side. You get to go there, continue to build. And somebody pointed out is that the problem is you don't have control over how the team spends the savings. He's the face of that franchise now. He should have some say and involvement, I would assume. Of course, he's not going to be the one doing all the deals behind the scenes, but 100%, if you're the Knicks, you're including him in those conversations.
And what his contract did is prevent them from going to that dreaded second apron now in the NBA, which is prohibitive in terms of making trades. He seems pretty confident in what they're going to do. And by the way, his agent is a former executive with the Knicks. So the agent should hopefully know what's going on.
618 says, if taxes were the only factor, no one would ever sign in certain states. There's just certain players that say, I want to stay where I'm at because I'm happy, I'm content. And that's just the way it goes.
But it's also an issue for the Giants, San Francisco Giants. They're talking about how people don't want to sign there. In addition to the city right now, the city is not in the best condition, but taxes are so prohibitive in the Bay Area, and it's hard for them to get free agents. Coming up, and that's today's Fresh Take here on 101 ESPN. Coming up, former Billiken Terence Hargrove Jr. has signed with a team, the Danish Basketgalen, and we're going to talk to him about that next on 101 ESPN.
It's time for a DraftKings at Casino Queen Redbird report on 101 ESPN.
Brooke Grimsley here for your Redbird report. The Cardinals' only representative for the All-Star game, Ryan Helsley, did not participate, instead opting to rest up to prepare for the second half of the season. In the game, it was the American League that beat the National League 5-3. The Cardinals wrapped up their Major League Baseball draft yesterday, selecting 10 players on the final day and 19 players total over the three-day event. The Cardinals selected 18 collegiate players and 1 high school prep player in this year's draft.
The Redbird report is presented by DraftKings at Casino Queen. Play, stay, dine at DraftKings at Casino Queen.
With Brooke Grimsley and Dan McLaughlin, I'm Randy Karraker. It's the opening drive on 101 ESPN in St. Louis. And one of our favorites to watch at St. Louis University over the last 4 years has been Terence Hargrove Jr. And he is signed with the Bakken Bears of Danish Basketligaen. And TJ joins us now on 101 ESPN. Good morning, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How are you doing, man? I'm happy to be here.
We're thrilled to have you with us. Let's start with this. You had, I know, a great career at St. Louis University, and you played with such joy. How did you feel overall about your experience at SLU?
Oh, man, it was a great experience. I mean, it taught me a lot of lessons, on and off the court, and I just prepared. That's one thing any athlete looks for, College just prepares you for life on and off the court. And, I met a lot of good people at SLU. I had good coaching staff, good friends, It was a great experience as a whole, my whole 5 years being there.
Terence, thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations on this new venture. As you talked about, a lot of great experiences at SLU, and this might be hard to do, but if you could narrow it down to one experience, your favorite overall with your time with the Billikens, what would it be?
Me in the game-winning shot. I mean, that everything for me. That was always something I wanted to do. When I hit the game-winning shot, that really, made my career. And, another thing crossed out on my bucket list as a basketball player.
You bravely shared your struggles with depression, and you've been open about that. How has that made you feel in terms of being open about it and helping a lot of kids out there and other people that have seen a great athlete like yourself, really come through this and being able to be an example for others?
Just being more confident, speaking up about what's really going on instead of just sitting there holding it in, and not speaking up about how you feeling or what's going on mentally, just speaking up and being confident about the people around you that can help you out, that you can trust, that can get you into a better headspace than what you are now,
So, TJ, you're going to make your way over to Denmark, and I know you've had a lot of former teammates and a lot of friends, I'm sure, that have played overseas. What are you looking forward to about getting over to Denmark and playing with the Bakken Bears?
Just getting ready to, start the season, because I think you started September is what the GM told me the other day. Just getting over there, starting, meeting the fans, playing, starting, getting the experience of being a professional. I'm just waiting to see what that can have to offer for me and the people there and my teammates. Just excited to get started.
And what about getting to know a new and different culture?
I mean, that's just life, just learning new things, getting out your comfort zone. And that's what the best thing about that is, going overseas. And I've been overseas before. So, just going there, being in a new country around new people and making new friends.
Terence, I know that it was a tough ending for Travis Ford and his time with the Billikens, but still, everybody will remember his legacy and everything he built with the Billikens program. What will you remember most about Travis Ford and how he helped you develop as a player?
He was a hard coach. He was always hard on us, and he was always just telling us that, life is going to be harder, and you're going to appreciate the time that you had here, too, and all the good things that you had, all the team bond in the locker room, talks with your friends, the practices. He said you're going to miss those once you leave college, and he did not lie. I do miss, the locker room time with my guys and just being there on campus with my friends and stuff, and that's why I say he was always hard on us, but he prepared us for life,
Absolutely. And what are you doing to keep your game in shape and keep yourself in shape before you head overseas?
Well, really, I just go run and I go to the gym and work out. So as of what I'm doing now, I've been practicing with our TBT team called the Guys. We play Saturday, on TV, FS1. We play Dayton's alumni team, which is, funny. So that should be a good one.
Hey, TJ, I mentioned off the top how much fun you were to watch play as a Billiken. Not only play, but on the bench and the joy you exuded. Where does that come from, the fun that you have playing basketball and the way you show it?
Just the love I have for the game. I mean, you can tell the love that I have for the game is not fake, and I just enjoy being out there playing and doing what I love and just having fun while doing it. Why do something if you're not having fun while doing it? So, I just make sure I go out there, I play hard every game, and I just show that I want to be there, that I want to win, and, just being me. And, when you being yourself, it just gets you a long way.
How is Mama Hargrove doing?
Oh, she's doing wonderful, man. She's in good spirits. She's happy that I signed my first pro contract. She's very excited for me. Her and my father, they're all excited. They can't wait for me to get started and start for me to start my professional career.
Coming from East St. Louis, how much of a factor do you feel like you're making in the community and the impact that you're making with kids to show that, you can do this? You can go to a Division I school. You can get your college degree. You can go on and be a pro. How important is that for you?
I'm showing the kids that if I can do it, you can do it. Anybody can do it. If you just put your mind to it and you apply yourself and you just take care of business first, it'll get you a long way. Sometimes you just got to cut out the partying, got to cut out the extra socializing, just, lock in to what you want to do with your life. And if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Hey, TJ, finally, there are a lot of NBA players, a lot of examples of guys that have gone overseas and have been able to come back and play in the NBA. What's your goal here in playing for the Danish Basket League and playing for the Bakken Bears? Is the NBA still a hope for you?
The NBA is the promised land, is what I call it. Bakken Bears is not, the only stop I'll be taking. The promised land is to get to the NBA. So this is a stepping stone in the right direction, joining a good program as a rookie, building my personality, building who I am, showing NBA scouts that, look, I can play at that level, the highest level of basketball in the world. That's the promised land. That's where I'm trying to get to, take care of my family and just make my city proud.
What degrees did you get at SLU?
Bachelor's degree.
Bachelor's degree, is that what you said, sir?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. If basketball wasn't in the cards for you, what would you be doing with that degree?
Most likely sports analysis, being able to talk on TV, about basketball. I felt that was one of my, strengths I had during college, going to class. I was able to talk in front of a large amount of people without, being nervous or shy. So I feel like I'm very good at that, speaking. And then, still talking about basketball, surrounding myself with the game. Because, the ball doesn't bounce forever. So I would still want to be around the game and, why not be a sports analyst.
Well, once basketball isn't there anymore, and we know you're going to have a long career, you're going to be great at it. We can tell just from talking to you today. So appreciate your time today, TJ. Thank you so much. Thanks for the memories at SLU, and best of luck over in with the Danish Basket League.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Thank you, sir. TJ Hargrove on 101 ESPN, headed over to Denmark.
Who booked him?
That was one Matthew Rocchio.
Oh, great, Matthew. You're trying to get a guy that's taking our jobs. That's great. That's awesome. No, he was great.
Yeah, I'm gonna text him tomorrow and be like, yeah, just whenever you want to get back, I got a basketball podcast with your name on, man. Let's break down some hoop rock. Let's go.
He's great, and having a chance to have done the SLU games for a number of years, he was one of my favorites. Just a great kid. Great kid.
And a great family. You mentioned his mom and dad, and his mom always wore the jersey with TJ's mom on the back of it.
And active on social media, too, about how proud she was of her son, which is great to see.
Yeah. Thanks to TJ Hargrove for joining us. By the way, Mike Clayborn is going to join us in the 9 o'clock hour. We're going to do Torey's story time with Claybs coming up in the 9 o'clock hour. But coming up, we've got the fight, and I guess we need a fighter. 314-399-9646, 314-399.
Yo-ho!
If you would like to fight against me in the fight, just send in your name and the word fight, and perhaps Matthew will pick you. By the way, Jamie Rivers is going to be out at Helen Fitzgerald's tomorrow. He's going to be with Stella Artois and 101 ESPN tomorrow from 6 to 8. They're partnering with Hot Ones to bring hot wings and hot trivia questions to the Lou. If you want to sign up to play in trivia, maybe I do, visit Helen's to find out how to register to participate and compete in the competition, or just hang out and watch the festivities tomorrow and enjoy some free Stella sampling and your chance at attendance prizes. That's tomorrow from 6 to 8 with Jamie Rivers at Helen Fitzgerald's. Get more info at 101ESPN.com. The fight is next on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you're trying to sell your home, there's really only one person in town to get in touch with, and that's my friend Gloria Liu from Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Why? Because Gloria already has buyers for you. It sounds incredible, but she's been in the business for 20 years, and she's collected names in a database over the course of those 20 years. So she has people that are looking in your neighborhood and in the price range that you're selling in. So she can put you together with a buyer very quickly. But when you get together with Gloria Liu, here's the cool thing about it. You're going to come together and determine a price. And if she can't sell your home at your agreed upon price, then she'll buy it herself. And that's guaranteed in writing. If you want to have the best agent in the industry, all you need to do is give Gloria Liu a call at 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or visit her on the web at gloriahasthebuyers.com. She is St. Louis Real Estate Authority, and she will do a great job for you. Hundreds of homes sold in just the past 12 months alone, and the only agent I'd trust to sell my home is Gloria Liu at 314-325-6888, gloriahasthebuyers.com.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The American League takes the All-Star game last night at a score of 5-3. The National League jumped out to an early offensive lead thanks to Shohei Ohtani's 3-run shot, but that was the only offense they got as the American League closed them out from there. And St. Louis City back in action for a midweek game tonight. They face off against the Seattle Sounders with a 9:30 p.m. kickoff. That is your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome to the fight. In the red corner, Average Joe Listener. And in the blue corner, the undisputed king of morning drive. Please welcome Randy Karraker.
Welcome back to the opening drive. Brooke, Dan, Randy, and Rockyo here, and it is time for the fight. And we have a new fighter today, and that is Brian. Brian, how are you doing?
Oh, not too bad.
Are you excited? A little nervous.
Oh.
There you go. Is this your first time facing Randy in the fight?
Oh, yeah. Well, I face him every day on the, when I listen, but This is the first time live.
So you face him. Does that mean you're YouTubing us, or you listen on the radio?
I listen pretty well every morning. And
well, we appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing that.
I used to listen in the evening, too, when I was coming home from work. But
you're just a Randy fan. You're a huge Randy fan. Now, you still listen on your way home, right? You listen to the Fast Lane.
Yeah, I do, but I've been retired for about 5 years, and I don't listen as much in the evening as I do the morning.
Okay, well, away we go with question one. Good luck to you.
All right.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your retirement, by the way.
Yes.
All right. Question number one, Brian. Happy birthday to Cardinals center fielder Michael Ciani. Which team did the Cardinals acquire Ciani from on waivers early in the 2023 season? Was it the Marlins, the Pirates, or the Reds?
Reds.
Which Cardinals pitcher is one of just 7 MLB pitchers since 2000 to post a season with 10 or more wins and 10 or more saves? Is it Alex Reyes, Russ Springer, or Pat Neshek?
10 or more wins or 10 or more saves in 1 year.
Combined, I would assume, correct? Yeah, 10 or more saves, 10 or more wins in the same season.
Say the options again. I'm sorry.
Sure. Alex Reyes, Russ Springer, or Pat Neshek?
Gosh. I want to say Neshek.
You want to say
like
Neshek? Is that your final answer?
That is my final answer. It seems like he had a lot of wins that 1 year out of the bullpen.
Okay, on to question 3 we go.
There are only 3 active pitchers in Major League Baseball with double-digit postseason wins. Who is the active leader and second all-time with 17? Is it Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander, or Clayton Kershaw?
Verlander. Final answer.
Joe Pavelski announced his retirement yesterday, finishing with just over 1,000 points. One of just 5 seventh-rounders to cross that mark. Which Blues draftee leads that list with over 1,400 points? Was it Cliff Ronning, Doug Gilmour, or Luke Robitaille?
So repeat the question one more time. I'm sorry.
Okay, so Joe Pavelski just announced his retirement yesterday. He finished with just over 1,000 points. One of just 5 seventh-rounders to cross that mark. Which Blues draftee leads that list with over 1,400 points? And the options are Cliff Ronning, Doug Gilmour, or Luke Robitaille.
I'll say Doug Gilmour.
Okay. Nice work here, Brian. Let me go grab Randall and see what he's got for you.
How are you feeling?
50-50.
50-50? A lot of baseball questions. And so
I'm a former college baseball player, so.
Oh, nice. Where'd you play at?
I played at SEMO.
Oh, nice. Oh, here comes Randy right now. Grapes in hand. Did you eat the majority of the grapes?
I did eat the majority of the grapes. I was talking to our boss, John Kiowski, who said that he agrees with me about the Jalen Brunson situation. Of course, he's the guy that writes the checks here. So
I was going to say. Wait a second.
So anyway, I was talking to our general manager.
Randy, say hi to Brian. Oh, sorry.
He did agree with me, and we're on the same page there. Brian, good to have you with us. How you doing?
Hey, not too bad. I think we're the same age today. My 61st birthday.
Congratulations. Happy birthday.
Yay.
Great to have you with us. So, July.
I ate grapes
17th.
and drank a Diet Dr. Pepper, and I got a carrot cake for my birthday cake. So.
What a day.
I like that.
Oh, man. It's. I feel, what's the name of that movie?
Well, you narrowed that down.
You know that
I
movie.
forget the movie where.
Well, they call you Mega Mind. They call me Mini Mind. So here we go.
Funny. Okay, I'm ready.
You ready
I
for
forgot
question
the name
number
of the
one?
movie completely, yeah.
We'll circle back to
Okay,
it. We'll
good.
figure it out. All right. Happy birthday to Brian, our fighter, and to Cardinals center fielder Michael Ciani. Which team did the Cardinals acquire Ciani from on waivers early in 2023 season?
I believe it was late. I think it was September of 2023, actually, that the Cardinals acquired him on waivers from the Cincinnati Redlegs.
Final answer?
I'm going to go with the final answer. Yeah, Cincinnati Reds, sir.
Are you ready for question 2?
I am.
Which Cardinals pitcher is one of just 7 Major League Baseball pitchers since 2000 to post a season with 10 or more wins and 10 or more saves?
10 or more wins and 10 or more in the same season.
That's right.
Okay, so you had the great Fernando Salas, but I don't think he was the guy. Let's think about this. Cardinal closers. Juan Acevedo. I don't think it was Juan Acevedo. Juan Acevedo. Hold on. I'll get this. Let me just... and he did it for the Cardinals.
That's right.
Okay. I know I feel stupid here. I know who it... I know... It's not Edward Mujica.
Don't feel stupid. There's only stupid answers.
Thank you. It feels like a guy that...
Sorry.
Like it was a portly sort. Not Sidney Ponson, but built kind of like Sidney Ponson.
Esteban Yan.
It wasn't the honor. Boy, could he sweat. He kind of sweated as much as the big sweat.
Sure did.
Okay, since 2000. Let's work on this. You know what, Danny? I'm not going to waste people's time here. I'm just going to do the lifeline.
Alex Reyes, Russ Springer, Pat Neshek.
I think I will go with Patrick Neshek. I don't think Springs ever had 10 saves in a season.
Spring dog.
And I don't think Reyes ever had 10 wins in a season. So I'm going to go with the former All-Star, the Nesher, number 37, who was a little fella, not portly, but short, short left.
Loved baseball cards.
Yeah.
Little sidewinder.
Yeah. So
weird motion.
So I'm going to go with the Nesher.
All right, question number 3.
Mm-hmm.
There are only 3 active pitchers in Major League Baseball with double-digit postseason wins. Who is the active leader and second all-time with 17?
Really? 17? Second all-time. I wonder if Andy Pettit is the leader. So I'm going to go with guys that have been around a long time. My first choice here is Verlander. The 3 I would choose, I would put on my personal lifeline would be Verlander, Scherzer, and Kershaw. Those are the 3 that I would put on it. And I think I'm going to go with Verlander, who pitched in his second year in the playoffs, was in a couple of World Series with the Tigers. Obviously, has been in a couple of World Series, so he's had a lot of opportunities, is my point, to win games and been in World Series. So I'm going to go with Justin Upton.
Justin Verlander.
It's not Mr. Upton?
Yeah, Mr. Upton.
Oh, God. I was... Okay.
Kate Upton.
I was really confused.
Yep.
The Kate Upton.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure, because there's not a baseball player named that or anything.
No, there wasn't.
Confusing me.
Do you guys remember the...
I remember Justin Upton.
When Justin and BJ were with Atlanta, and they had a Sports Illustrated photo with those two, and Kate was between them in the middle of the photo.
I do not remember that.
The 3 Uptons, yes.
Okay, you ready for question 4?
Yes, they had a thing with Kate Upton. They were able to get her to do photo shoots. Yeah, I'm ready.
She did the swimsuit issue, I believe.
Multiple occasions,
So
yes.
I was told. Are you ready for question 4?
I'm ready, sir.
Joe Pavelski announced his retirement yesterday, finishing with just over 1,000 points. One of just 5 seventh-rounders to cross that mark. Which Blues draftee leads that list with over 1,400 points?
I'm going to go with Doug Gilmour off the top of my head here. I'm going to go with the killer. Number 18, number 9, number 39, number 93. I'm going to go with Doug Gilmour, Dan.
Matthew, time for you to do your thing.
Well, not completely. I just got to do my other thing because we got a tiebreaker today. Sorry, Randy. We got a tiebreaker here. Brian, you've heard it on the fight, but you've never participated on the air, so I'm going to have to let you know really easily. I'm going to read the question out there. We're going to give Randy Karraker a moment to write down his answer. Once he has written down his answer, I will come to you. We'll ask you for your answer over the air, and then Randy can confirm his answer, and then whoever's closest to the pin is going to be the winner of today's fight. Do you understand those rules, Brian?
I do, and I hope it involves math.
It does not involve math, but it does involve baseball. How about that, Randy? Is that okay with you?
That's better than math.
Involving math. Are you ready with your paper, sir?
I used to be a math teacher, so
I'm sorry I left the simple multiplication one off this one for you, Brian, because you get a much different question. You ready? Are you ready, Randy?
Ready.
I'm just going to ruin it right now. The answer for one of the questions was, in fact, a Cardinals pitcher by the name of Alex Reyes. In his final season with the Cardinals, when he finally got those full closer duties, how many saves did Alex Reyes have? In his final season with the Cardinals, when he finally got those closer duties, started appeared in 69 games, finished 54 of them. How many saves did Alex Reyes get in that season, Randy? I didn't see that. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
Can you show me, please?
Sure.
Okay. Brian, what is your guess, sir?
Gosh, I wish I'd have paid more attention to him.
Me too.
The Cardinals say it too.
34.
All right, so a big discrepancy here. Randy, what was your guess?
I said 17.
All right, Randy Karraker guessed 17. Brian guessed 34. So we got a pretty clear winner today in the fight. It's not right smack dab in there in the middle, which I guess would have been... Is there a way to get in the middle between these two? I can't do math that well. There, I was making fun of Randy and it bites me in the ass on that one. I don't think you guys could have gotten actually in the middle in the same from the answer. So we have a 100% winner on the tiebreaker today. Thank God. Ring that bell.
The winner and new champion of the fight, Average Joe Listener.
The fight is presented by Golf Discount of St. Louis, with the most experienced club fitters in town. Why shop anywhere else?
Congratulations, Brian. Thanks to the tiebreaker, you walked away the winner today. You guessed 34. Alex Reyes in that final season with the Cardinals finished with 29 saves on the season.
Wow.
Congratulations, Brian. You are the winner of today's fight.
All right.
Good job.
Sounds
Happy
great.
birthday.
Yeah, there you go.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you.
Great birthday for Brian. Let's go through the questions and the answers. Happy birthday to Cardinals center field Michael Ciani. It was, in fact, the Cincinnati Reds, where the Cardinals acquired him off waivers last season. Which Cardinals pitcher is one of just 7 MLB pitchers since 2000 to post a season with 10-plus wins and 10-plus saves? It is, in fact, Alex Reyes in his final season as a Cardinal, 10 wins and 29 saves in that 2021 campaign. 3 active pitchers in Major League Baseball with double-digit postseason wins, and the active leader is, in fact, Justin Verlander. He's also second all-time on that list. The 3 active pitchers with double-digit wins are Justin Verlander, Clayton Kershaw, and Garrett Cole is sitting there with a 10-8 record. And Joe Pavelski announced his retirement yesterday, finishing with just over 1,000 points. One of just 5 seventh-rounders or undrafted free agents to cross that mark is, in fact, Doug Gilmour, who leads that list with over 1,400 points. And then again, Alex Reyes, 29 saves in that 2021 campaign for the Blues. Congratulations for a fight win today to Brian. We will talk to you tomorrow on The Fight again, sir.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank
Looking
you,
forward to
Brian.
it. Thank you very much, and have a happy birthday.
What a great birthday present for Brian.
He's a huge fan of yours. He was telling us before you left, and then before you came back in. He was a huge fan of yours, and is a huge fan.
Very appreciative. The movie that I was thinking of was Single White Female.
So I was thinking there had to be some kind of stalker movie that you were thinking of, because he knew a lot about you, Randall. So be careful walking out to your car.
Oh no, he'll be friendly.
I learned a lot from him, though. So he pitched at SEMO. It's his birthday, and he was a math teacher, and he's retired.
Pretty good.
And he listens
61.
to you every morning.
And 61 today.
Yep.
So great to have him with us. We appreciate him. Coming up next, we've got our Rush Hour Reset. And then Claves is going to join us at about 9:15 here on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you are not yet ready for your air conditioner to get through the rest of July and August and September, you need to get in touch with Hoffman Brothers. They are my heating and air conditioning company of choice, and they should be yours as well. They are a proud Mitsubishi Electric elite contractor, and with the St. Louis summer heat, we know that it is difficult to deal with, especially if your air conditioner doesn't work. Well, you need to schedule your air conditioner tune-up with Hoffman Brothers, because when you do, they are going to come to your house and they're going to make sure that the tune-up is perfect, clean up your air conditioner, make sure that the filters are changed, make sure that the motors are good, and they're going to tell you what the lifespan of your air conditioner is as well. So if you want to be prepared for any eventuality, get in touch with Hoffman Brothers. Plus, you want to be ready for any power outages, too. We had all of the storms yesterday and the floods that a lot of people had to deal with. Well, if the power is out in your home, then Hoffman Brothers has a great deal for you. They're reliable interlock kit, and when the power goes out, you need a solution, and they will allow your generator to power your entire house. It's Hoffman Brothers at hoffmanbros.com, or give them a call, 314-664-3011. Visit hoffmanbros.com.
Recapping the biggest sports stories of the day on the opening drive with a Rush Hour Reset.
Quick Rush Hour Reset for you here on 101 ESPN. The American League knocking off the National League by a score of 5-3 last night in Arlington, Texas at Globe Life Field. And the only Cardinal representative, Ryan Helsley, didn't perform. He wanted to kind of recharge his arm for the second half, which starts Friday for the Cardinals in Atlanta. National League, by the way, has now lost 10 of the last 11 All-Star games.
Thank goodness this one doesn't count.
Yeah, really.
You know, I mean, it still amazes me that we had a situation where these games would dictate Game 7 of the World Series in home field advantage. That's crazy because the guys, it's an exhibition. Watching Juan Soto run at one point yesterday just showed, are they really giving 100%? Probably not. They're just making sure they don't get hurt. Mm-hmm. And that's what every organization is saying, too. I mean, I would hold my breath if I was the Pirates because my young guy is out there. He is amped up, and I'm just trying to make sure he doesn't get hurt coming out of the game.
And what happened was when it went to the reason that Bud Selig made the All-Star game count for home field was because it became a joke. And players were treating it as a joke. And so he wanted
a tie game.
Yeah, they had a tie game in Milwaukee. And Bud Selig threw his hands up because they ran out of pitchers, because the managers, rather than actually trying to win, trying to play every player on the team, which was stupid anyway. But I always said this. was it any worse having the team that won the All-Star game than having a rotating World Series? I mean, the Cardinals had the misfortune of having odd years to win the pennant in 85 and 87. If the home field would have been for the National League in 85 and 87, they would have won those 2 World Series against Kansas City and Minnesota.
Yeah, what did you say, Rob?
Definitely 87. Like that's a tangible 100%. Yeah. If you have 4 games in your park and they have 3 games in theirs, you will win that one by 4-3. Why are we so sure about 85? I don't have the
because the Cardinals were an absolutely dominant home team. They lost 1 home game.
Jesus.
They lost 1 home game in the World Series.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Looking at the All-Star game, though, anything else you would do to improve it? Because you guys are right. It's not exactly the most exciting. It's, I think, at least a lot more competitive than some of the other All-Star program games that we see. Obviously, with NFL, it's like they're going through the motions. Same thing with basketball. Anything else that you would like to see improve?
Can't fix it because it used to be that the American and National Leagues were separate, and players spent most of their career in one of the leagues and took pride in their league winning. And it really did matter because players and managers were competitive, and the best players played for a long time. The starters would play 7 innings. It was a real game.
Yeah.
And now it's just a showcase to show off as many players as possible, like Paul Skeens getting 1 inning last night.
So to your question, Brooke, can you do anything to make it better? You can offer a ton of money to the winning team. I bet you'd have more competition in that regard, but they're not going to do that. It's just a showcase of the sport. It's the only thing going on basically in sports. So show off your teams, show off what you have for Major League Baseball, and then move on to the second half of the season. But I think if you offered them a lot of money, and I don't know what that number would be, to make it somewhat of interest for these, especially young players, you'd see them going all out. There's a paycheck sitting there. Exactly. And for some, it might be more. If you made it, it might be more than what they get on the 1st and the 15th.
There was a lot of young players, too. 37 first-time All-Stars. So it was really exciting to see a lot of the new faces, ones that are already becoming recognizable. And then you had Jaren Duran, who was the hero of the game for the American League. Obviously, what he was able to do. I just wish that they would wear their jerseys for their team, because we were talking about it. I'm familiar with Jaren Duran. I also knew about some of the past struggles and how open he has been with the struggles that he had with depression, different things like that because of his performance in the past. Remember, in the outfield, sun in his eyes, that's something that happens occasionally with players, and then also has lashed out at fans in the past, but he has really grown. It's a great story to where he got to this point where he was the hero of the All-Star game.
Right.
I would just like to see him in a Red Sox jersey.
I agree
and that goes for
100%.
all the guys.
Yeah, it's amazing. You think about a typical Major League game now. Think about this. 1984, 40 years ago, each All-Star team used 5 pitchers. Charlie Lee started for the National League. He threw 2. Valenzuela threw 2. Gooden threw 2. And then Mario Soto with 2. And Goose Gossage with 1. For the American League, Steve started through 2. Jack Morris threw 2. Richard Dotson threw 2. Bill Caudle threw 1. Willie Hernandez threw 1. When you look at the lineups, Lou Whitaker for the American League, 3 at-bats. Rod Carew came to the plate 3 times. Cal Ripken came to the plate 3 times. Dave Winfield was 1 for 4. He came to the plate 4 times. George Brett had 4 plate appearances. He had a walk to go with his 3 at-bats. Lance Parrish, the catcher, had a couple of at-bats. And then in the National League, Tim Raines or Tony Gwynn went 1 for 3. Ryan Sandberg had 4 at-bats. Garvey had 3 at-bats. Murphy, Schmidt. So the manager was trying to win, too. Those guys had 3 at-bats. So they were trying to get their best players to play in the game to give their team the best chance to win.
In terms of a showcase and trying to get your sport out there and show personality, I would eliminate the pitch clock for that game. So I had more time to interview players, and some players are better than others, but maybe that's something that you do. Eliminate the pitch clock so you have more time in innings to try to learn more about your players.
That's a good idea.
You know, that might be something you look at too.
Yeah. And one other note that we haven't touched on yet. Well, let's touch on a couple of injury notes. Number one, Torey Krug has a reaction to arthritis in his ankle. He will rehab, they say, for 6 to 8 weeks, and then he'll be reevaluated. And if things don't get better, he'll have to undergo surgery. I've never seen a press release where they say if he doesn't, in the next 6 to 8 weeks, if he doesn't improve, he'll have to have surgery.
I don't think I've ever seen that either.
Yeah.
Usually just, hey, this is what the ailment is, and he's dealing with this, and then
he'll be reevaluated.
Reevaluated, exactly.
Does that mean that he might be pushing back, or maybe on the other side, the Blues doctors might be pushing back on doing surgery just right away?
I think they know. I think everybody probably knows, but they're just hoping against hope that some miracle will occur, and arthritis is bone on bone.
Yeah.
And maybe they're going to use some of the, what is it, not chicken tenders, chicken tendons, with knees.
Get your mind on food.
Yeah. Well, remember our buddy Mark Moser, the former
soccer player?
Yeah. He had chicken stuff put in his knees.
Oof.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Chicken meniscus. You can do that. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Why chickens specifically? Like, I've heard of pigs being used, but
I don't know. Maybe pig is better.
This would tell me that this is why you went out and got Suter. That explains that.
Yeah.
They knew that this was coming. I think it's a big chance for Scott Perunovich on the power play and a chance to play a little bit more. So Letty Parayko would be a pairing. Maybe Suter and Falk would be the other one. And if he doesn't play this year, that's going to get like $4 to $4.5 million off the book or on the books to sit there and play with if you wanted to with the salary cap. So it is kind of interesting how this thing plays out. But it totally explains why you bring in Suter, and he's 39 years old, but why you'd bring him in and to replace Torey Krug in this kind of situation.
It does make a lot of sense. And then also we had Joey V on yesterday, and he mentioned the leadership factor. It sounds like, and it's something that we've discussed before, that you need a more vocal leader. I know that Shen obviously is the captain of this team, and he's doing that, but to have more voices in that room that could actually help him and what they need to do there with some of the younger players.
By the way, it's chicken cartilage that they put in to prevent the bone
tenders.
No,
I was trying to Google it as well after you brought that up, and I was like, what do I even type in to figure out what they use here?
Yeah,
so it's chicken.
Chicken cartilage, yeah.
Why chicken?
I don't know why it helps joint pain, but it does. So maybe Torey Krug will try it. I don't know. Hopefully it works.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then the other injury was Kyrie Irving breaking a hand in training. How does a basketball guy, within a month after the finals, break a hand in training and have to have surgery? A fluke is what Matthew says.
Total fluke.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who'd he punch?
Don't know. It's a fluke of a fight.
Mm-hmm. But see, Kyrie Irving does this weird workout thing where he stands with both his feet together, and then he leans as far as he can, and he'll get to a 45-degree angle. Maybe just he overdid the angle one day and just took a little tumble, and you did the old 7th grade. You're falling off of your skateboard, and you brace yourself a little bit too hard, and you break your arm.
My hope is that he looks at where he is so that he doesn't lean and just fall off the edge of the earth.
Randy, you set him up for this.
God, that was a much better joke. Good God, good job, Randy.
Randy, it's true.
Did we just find out that you're a flat earther?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Dan, you're a flat earther?
No, I'm not.
That's what I just heard, didn't you, Randy?
I heard that too.
He is insinuating some things here that are not true.
Dan, those baseballs all those years were just going over a fence.
I'm not a flat earther. Get off my back end.
Off your chicken tenders.
Yes.
Yeah.
Got it. So there's your Rush Hour Reset here on 101 ESPN. Coming up,
maybe Claves?
Claves will be here at 9:15. He will, but Brooke had an idea. What's the idea for the
All-Star, or no, the strike zone.
If there was one trivial thing. Oh, is that what you want to talk about? Oh, yeah. Okay. The question was if there was one. I'm sorry, Rock. I can't even remember. I was so distracted by chicken tenders and flat earthing conversations. If there was one trivial thing that you could get rid of in sports, we talked about the uniforms and changing that, obviously resorting back to just them wearing their team jerseys. If there's one trivial things in sports that you could change, what would it be?
It's next on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you want to get new customers, digital marketing is where it's at and where it's going. If you want to make meaningful connections with new customers and clients, digital marketing is where it's at. And making those connections can be a daunting challenge for any business. But there is a place where connections aren't just made, but they're nurtured. And that place is called 2060 Digital, right here in our Hubbard building. It's a sister company backed by a 100-year-old media empire. And if you want to get in touch with them, all you need to do is go to 101ESPN.com/2060Digital. If you're a business owner or a marketer and you're seeking more strategic ways to reach and engage customers, 2060 Digital can help you out. They'll help with your social media strategy. They'll help you build the perfect website, and they will help you with algorithms that will allow your company to be right on the front page when somebody does a search. It really is amazing what they can do. To get in touch with 2060 Digital, go to 101ESPN.com/2060Digital. Mike Clayborn will join us in just a few minutes here on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Brooke, Dan, and Randy. Okay, what trivial thing would you get rid of in sports? You know, there's something that has caused way too much consternation in America, and we're the only country that does it. We're the only country that plays the national anthem before games. Why? Is there a reason for it?
Oh, that is a hot take, Randy.
Do we need it? Do we need the anthem before a game?
Yes.
I love it.
Do you?
I do. I love it.
I'm with Dan on this one. Are you not patriotic?
I'm Randy all the way.
I'm pretty patriotic, but I don't know if... I sing the anthem. I know the words to the anthem. But
Good job, Randy.
we're the only country in the world that does that.
Because we're number one, Randy, as you know. We talk about that all the time. We're number one.
Because when you're number one, what you have to do is say it all the time.
Exactly.
Canada does it in hockey games.
Oh, Canada.
It gets me fired up. I feel like it's part of it.
Okay. Canadian anthem's a banger.
And you can have good performances.
Or you could have the other
really
night.
bad performances, exactly. But
Yeah.
I enjoyed the really good performances.
I enjoy the really good performances, too.
That doesn't get you fired up. Like Chris Stapleton recently.
Stapes.
Oh,
What about
that was
when
magical.
you're watching before a Super Bowl and you get tears rolling down the eyes of players? You don't think
Yes.
that's meaningful?
No, it is. It's a big deal, but is it necessary?
I think it is.
Okay.
I do. I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm surprised that there's actually some people signing with you. Wow.
Give it to me every game.
See, here's the thing. It caused a lot of issues. It still does cause a lot of issues in this country that I think would be non-issues if it wasn't there.
All right.
I enjoy it.
Brooke, what do you got?
So you also have, the reason that we brought this up is because everybody has a feeling about the All-Star uniforms and just how atrocious they are. As I mentioned earlier, there was 37 new All-Stars that we saw this year. You need to have them in their team's jerseys so that people can understand and recognize them. I know there's people who follow closely, but for the casual fan that we talked about, knowing who they play for, what about this? Getting rid of the City Connect uniforms.
That was mine.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, there's just so much been made of that, and I understand there are uniform people out there. I get it. I mean, people love uniforms, and they get into it. I'm not as much into it. It's fine. I'm just kind of milquetoasting the whole thing.
There is no City Connect with the Angels or Braves uniforms. They're just throwbacks.
Right.
There are a lot of really ugly ones, I think. I know people like the White Sox, the ones that say South Side. The Dodgers, fortunately, got rid of the blue pants and went with the white. The Dodgers completely revamped their City Connects. They got rid of them. I think there's as many bad ones as good ones. I'm fine with getting rid of City Connects. I think ours are pretty good, by the way, but I can live without them.
I like them. I think they're cool. I like the patch. I like the way it looks with the Lou on the front. But would I get going crazy over this like some people do? Nah, I'm just like, whatever.
Yeah. We're getting a lot of texts in about your national anthem, Randy. And I think it's important to note. So you would still keep it for important events where it keeps maybe the specialness of it? Is that how you're feeling about it? Or you just want it gone completely?
No, I think
World Series, no national championships.
I think what the problem is when you play it before 162 regular season games, it does lose its impact. People don't care as much. So I do think, for big events, it makes a difference. But it's, for a lot of people, it's not a big deal. And there's people, I think there's a lot of people during a regular, like if you're out in the concourse area, or people run for the concourses when the anthem starts, there's a lot of people that just feel like it's not a big deal, and it should be a bigger deal. If you're going to have it, then make it be important.
I want it every game, every time. I love it. I just do. I love it.
No, that's why we have opinions. That's great. I'm glad that you do. I can live without it.
So we have another one, too. Okay, TV timeouts after kickoffs.
Well, the thing is, in the NFL, you have to have, they've got 4 breaks, and sometimes they have TV timeouts after kickoffs because you have like an 8-minute drive or a 9-minute drive, and you've got to fit 4 timeouts into a quarter where you didn't have a TV timeout during the drive. So that's why occasionally you'll have a TV timeout after a kickoff.
Better make your money.
Yeah,
that's what's going to drive it, making your money.
From the 314, extra point after a touchdown.
College, I think they should move it back.
100%. Make it worth something. Put something on the line, because for so long it's been chip shots. Now Tony Romo may have an opinion on this, fumbling a snap back on an extra point. But, for the most part, it's a gimme. It's a layup.
Bill Parcells would have won a Cowboy playoff game if Tony Romo would not have dropped that extra point.
Hey, Claves is here.
Claves is here. We're going to talk to the great Mike Clayborn coming up here on the opening drive on 101 ESPN.
Want to keep your gas-powered engines running like new? Stable's proprietary formulas are proven by third-party testing to outperform the competition in keeping fuel fresh, preventing corrosion, and cleaning the entire fuel system. With Stable, you can have confidence you are doing the right thing for your engine's long-term health. Just pour into your gas can or fuel tank, then top off with fresh fuel. At every fill-up or when you store, start with Stable. Available where fuel additives are sold.
Don't miss limited time doorbusters during Pro Savings Days right now at Lowe's. Starting July 15th.
Hey, I've got some exciting news from Schnucks. You know, I'm always talking about how great their rewards program is, and now that rewards program is even better because Schnucks just released new perks to make it even more personalized for you. They have personal double points days, and that makes earning rewards easier and faster. Keep an eye on the rewards app for your personal double points day coupon, and once you clip it, you can use it to get double the points on your entire purchase. So instead of your usual 2% back, you're getting 4% back in Schnucks rewards to use on a future purchase. You get to choose when to use the coupon. You can apply it the next time you do a stock up to shop, or you can use it when you use less. But if you use it when you use the stock up, then you get a lot more bang for your buck. This is an in-app coupon, so be sure to download the Schnucks Rewards app and check your digital coupons, and that's where you'll find this coupon when it periodically pops up. Download the Schnucks Rewards app today to look out for those personal double points days and get 4% back rather than 2% back from Schnucks Rewards. Brooke Grimsley, Danny Mac, Randy Karraker, the opening drive on 101 ESPN, and we always love it when Mike Clayborn stops by, and during the All-Star break, I thought, Claibs isn't going to be on the road with the ball club, so let's get him in for an hour, and here he is. He always shows up for us. He always takes care of us. Thank you very much, Claibs. How you doing?
Always good to be here. See four of my favorite people, including Rockio, and
who were you leaving out there initially?
Well, I was looking at you, so
That's
I almost forgot.
That's what I figured.
But I forgot Brooke was here. Happily married, newly married, right?
You.
Congratulations on
Thank
that.
You so
That's
much.
fun. Good luck with that. So anytime I can hang out with you guys, it's always fun.
So, all right.
Because there's a lot of history in this room.
There is a lot of history in this room. Yeah. By the way, you had we were talking about trivial things. A trivial thing that you would bring back, which I think is a great idea.
I'd bring back the 7-inning doubleheader.
I think that's a great idea.
Because and you notice it this year. We've had so many rain delays and rainouts and doubleheaders. 7-inning doubleheader, you manage differently. You have to do some things differently, and that makes the game more fun to me. And it has to take place within 30 minutes of the first game.
How are you going to get the crowds, though? So you have a makeup day.
Fire.
You got to push back the crowd for the original game.
I'll give you an hour.
Okay.
I'll give you an hour.
What though, if that game would start at, say you got kids or you're at work and that kind of thing, and you got to get down to 6 or 7 o'clock. So that's when your window is to get down there. And all of a sudden the game is at, let's say, 4 o'clock. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's not a perfect scenario. I think in the summertime, I have a little bit more leeway.
That's where I'm at, too.
I mean, you have a little bit more leeway. I think if it's in April or if it's late September, you probably have to acquiesce to the schedule. But I think in the middle of the season, like now, I would have 7-inning doubleheaders. I have 7-inning doubleheaders in April and September, but maybe the start time would be different.
I like your glasses, by the way.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
I brought up this idea.
I don't know where
a
I'd
couple
be
days
without
ago.
him.
Me neither.
I can't see without mine. I'm the same way. I brought up this idea a couple days ago because I went to one of the games that started at 6:15.
Love it.
And we were out of there.
Love it.
And it was still light outside.
Love it.
With all of the fear that people have of being downtown, doesn't that make sense? Play at 6:15, have the game end when it's still light outside?
I'm a huge advocate of 6:15 starts. We have a 7:15 start on Friday, which makes it a very long day because we do a post-game show over at the Bullock across the street from the ballpark. And, you get a slow game, and now all of a sudden you're not done until 11:30. And then you come back for a day game the next day. So I think 6:15 should be universal.
I think, a lot of people are enjoying the pitch clock and all the other rule changes.
Greatest rule in sports.
Yeah, but
Greatest
is there
implementation, period.
one you could change with Major League Baseball with all the new rules changes? What would it be?
Boy, that's a good question. I was thinking about that as I heard it brought up.
Ghost Rider. That's where I'm going with it.
I heard the national anthem thing. I think it's the one song I hear probably over 250 times a year.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them not good. Like Jupiter, Florida.
Oh, yeah.
They're the worst.
Really?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
We have this saying when we hear people now that come to Busch Stadium and they're not very good. Well, he's ready for Jupiter or she's ready for Jupiter. I mean, they may have a not-so-good collection of singers, and I don't know where they get them from, but they really, if there was a law, desecration of the national anthem, that's where you start locking people up down there. I'm serious. We always say, hey, he's ready for Jupiter.
So, oh, yeah. So,
and then I think you have to have an age limit on when kids can sing it.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. No doubt. What should that age limit be?
Well, I can never sing, so we could start tomorrow. And I think it would be, I think 9-ish, 10-ish.
Uh-huh.
Could you guys sing when you were that age?
No. I've never been able to sing. Sadly, it hasn't come along.
I was no Kennedy Holmes.
Yeah, or the lady who sang apparently the other night. By the way, did you guys watch the All-Star game?
Yeah.
Okay.
For about
Did
2
you?
innings.
Couldn't do it.
And why is that?
Because I am a traditionalist. I want to see my team wear their uniform.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And if you watch anything, when they do the introduction, and that Cardinal uniform for some reason stands out so much, so I said, you know what? Until they put the uniforms back in play, I'll do something else. So I didn't watch.
Claims I am not 100% against Rob Manfred, but he does come up with some weird ideas. And
is it him or is it the people that he surrounds himself
That's the thing.
with?
But he has to sign off on it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that he at least said, we're going to have this conversation because he's gotten enough blowback from people about that very thing, not wearing the regular jerseys in the game. I don't know how it got past him that he didn't think about, okay, well, let's think about baseball and tradition and our fan bases and the fact that it's on TV. I wonder how he came to the conclusion that it was a good idea to just have not only National and American League jerseys, but horrific national and they're terrible.
Kind of go along
looking.
with this year's jerseys that are basically like napkins.
Yeah.
So they've really kicked this thing, and I don't know how you fix it other than turn it around. And I know in talking to Tony Clark, the executive director for the Players Association, he made it very clear that we're going to fix this. And I think that this is a union that has a little say-so in things. The commissioner has a final say, but the players have a real impact on a lot of things that take place, and they don't want to go out there looking like this next year.
No, it's going to be story time with Claibs. It used to be, guys, that at this time every year, Claibs and I had hit the highway for Charleston, Illinois.
Oh, yeah.
And St. Louis football
Charleston,
Cardinals.
Macomb. Where else did we go? We've been to every training camp that pro football allowed us to come to.
Yeah, we did. And
Lindenwood.
Lindenwood was great. I
remember the day Bill Bidwell.
Yeah.
So this is when everybody sat in the same dining room, players, media, owners, whatever. And it was a Friday. And it was serving fish. And Bill Bidwell wanted ketchup on his fish. So apparently he didn't know that the lid was not completely closed. And when he shook it up, it looked like he'd just been assassinated. I mean, he had blood everywhere.
Oh, my God.
On this white shirt. Yeah. And people were trying to dab him down. He never missed a bite. He just kept going. I mean, people were trying to towel him down, and he just kept going. It was priceless.
Oh, my goodness.
There wasn't the paranoia that exists now in sports. It was very and credit to Mike Martz. Mike Martz had was it the Chardonnay room?
Yes.
And Dick Vermeil was so transparent, and Coach Stallings and Coach Hannafin, and they would tell us what was on their mind and what they were thinking. And sometimes it was just because Hanny loved every single one of his players, all right?
Hated to cut him.
Yeah, right. Hated to cut him. But one day early on, Charleston, so it would be like just a regular conference table, maybe a 12, 14-foot table, 12 by maybe 4 feet. And there's maybe 6 or 8 media members around, whoever the beat writer was at the time. I think it was Bernie at the time. And Claibs and I were in there. Rammer might have been there, had some TV people. And we asked Hanny about, I think it might have been the very first day of practice. Hey, what'd you think of the first day? He's smoking. Hanny's at the end of the table like the father smoking. I'll tell you what, guys. We got a great group of blanking guys. We don't have a player in the bunch, but we got a great group of blanking guys.
These are all guys he'd like to have come over for the house for a barbecue, but God bless you if you have to block somebody. I mean, they had a collection of really bad players.
Yeah,
it was not good. And you try and find something good about a guy, and you're gonna get killed this year. It was not good that first year.
But I'll say this: that 1984 team, and Hanny went to his grave saying that if they would have had the win against Washington or Dallas and gone to the playoffs, he thinks they would have gone to the Super Bowl and won it.
You know, that was a really good team, and I'll never forget that last drive, Washington Redskins. And Neil Lomax and Roy Green. This is when Darryl Green was all pro. And Roy Green worked him like a day off. I'd never seen anything like it before. The way those guys, and Otis Anderson, I mean, they couldn't stop the Cardinals in the second half. And then that one penalty, was it on Mike Dawson?
EJ Jr.
EJ Jr. And basically the referees were trying to make sure the Redskins were going to win the game.
Yeah.
But nobody saw this Cardinal drive. And, I mean, it was one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. To the point, Bill Parcells and I were talking about this last year. Bill comes down to spring training every year. And he talked about Roy Green being the greatest player he ever coached against. So he said one year they came out on the field, they were warming up, and he said, "We got you today. We got you today." And Roy said, "What do you mean?" He said, "We're going to double your ass all day long." Roy just shook his head and said, "Not going to be enough." When I had like 160 yards in receiving. At that point, Parcells said, "I'm done with him. He will have to figure out somebody else on how to slow down."
That game in Washington, Neil Lomax threw for 385 yards in the second half. And I think Roy had 225 of them in the second half.
I'd never seen anything like it.
Yeah, I think Neil threw for something like 450 for the game, 465.
Neil, you missed that field goal.
Yeah. So those were the days. More with Claibs, Brooke, Dan, Randy, and Mike. It's a great edition of the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Hey, guys, if you're not feeling up to snuff today or these days, if you aren't as energetic as you used to be, I want you to learn about Mentality. It's a great local clinic. They are in Chesterfield and South County. Find them on the web at lowtusa.com. And at Mentality, they understand that guys are going to deal with low energy and maybe feeling a little bit anxious because naturally, after we pass our 30th birthday, our testosterone level drops. And that's where we get our energy from when we're in our 20s. At Mentality, they're going to do a complete panel of your blood work to find out where your testosterone level is, and then they're going to get it back to a normal level. And that's a pretty wide level. At Mentality, they're going to get it back to your highest level of normal so that you can feel like you used to feel from an energy standpoint, like you did when you were in your 20s. And they're going to work with your insurance company to make sure that your out-of-pocket expenses are as low as they can possibly be. Get in touch with Mentality for their FDA-approved testosterone supplemental treatment. Learn more at lowtusa.com. Make an appointment at their Chesterfield or South County clinics and get started on feeling better today at Mentality at lowtusa.com.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The American League last night with a 5-3 win over the National League. The NL jumped out to an early 3-0 lead thanks to Shohei Ohtani, but that was all the offense they had as they fall in the Midsummer Classic. St. Louis City SC back in action tonight. They face off against the Seattle Sounders in Seattle, so it's a late game tonight, 9:30 p.m. kickoff. And tomorrow is July 18th, which means that the transfer window in the MLS officially opens, which means starting tomorrow, City will have their 3 current new players available to play. That is your Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Mike Clayborn joining us in the opening drive. The UFL College Draft is today, and your St. Louis Battlehawks, with their second-round selection, have selected running back Cody Schrader, Missouri. So the Battlehawks going Mizzou to the Lou.
Oh.
If he doesn't make the 49ers.
Wow.
So there you go. Yeah, that'll take care of the running back situation.
Those ticket sales ought to go through the roof now.
All right, Claves, what about the Cardinals? Where are we at? What do you think?
Well, I can say this. We're in better position than we were this time last year. I know people talk about the wild card. I think they're good enough to win the division. We've caught Milwaukee before. But I think you need some help. I think you need a front-end starter. So when you do get to playoffs, you will have Gray, starter, Kyle Gibson, with legitimate arms to back those guys up. I think you need another guy who has closing experience in the bullpen, because as good as Ron Helsley has been, I mean, you factor in how many games he's been involved in that the Cardinals have won, at some point he's going to hit the wall. At some point he's going to need a day, and you can't exchange a day for a loss. So you have to have somebody who I think has closing experience. Now, that doesn't mean he has to close every other day, but being in that environment is something I think we need to have. And you can say, well, catchers can do it. Well, that's not move guys out of roles that they're already in. That's where teams make a mistake. And then thirdly, I think you need a right-handed bat. Arenado and Goldschmidt, we hope they're going to be better. They haven't been better. But you still need another right-handed bat because we are left-handed loaded, and we don't even have a right-handed bat legitimately coming off the bench, and that's something that's going to be a concern down the road.
What do you think about with Jordan Walker currently right now? It seems like there's indications
that we won't see him. You might as well throw him in the pool. I don't know if he's learning anything more than what he wouldn't learn here.
Yeah.
I think that if you're going to play him, you got to play him every day. You can't, find too many awkward matchups or whatever, and play him all 9. He's been there for a while, long enough where he should be better. Mm-hmm. The only thing we can assess is what we see, online as far as his line score is concerned. I don't know enough people who put actual eyes on him to see has he improved defensively. I thought he'd improved defensively from last year. Hopefully he's taken that next step. Offensively, he's had a few more hits, but is it the same issue that we had when he was here, not getting enough balls in the air? So, if you're going to bring him up, but make sure he's got a place to play.
Do you worry about Mason Wynn hitting a wall, or do you think he's going to be okay?
I think he hit one earlier this year. And he and I talked about the fact that just trying to get his rest and stay off his feet and gain weight.
Mm-hmm.
And so
I can help with that.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that could do that. But I think it's part of the process. And I know earlier in the year people were banging Ollie by, you got to play him every day. Yeah, but this is the most games he's ever played in his life, okay? And at some point, he's going to need a day or two. At some point, he may need 2 days or 3 days. And with a back that sometimes flares up, you have to be conscious of that.
I look at third base. I look at first base. If they get anything out of that going forward, watch out. This offense will be very, very good. But can you expect that at any point from Arenado and Goldschmidt?
I've been saying it since last year.
Yep.
I'm waiting on it to happen. And it just hasn't with any consistency. And when it does happen, we're like, all right, here we go. We're ready to go. And then somebody wears the collar the next day. Or, right now between Goldschmidt and Gorman, I think we're over 230 strikeouts, maybe closer to 240, which is unheard of. And we still have, 60-some games to go.
Right.
And that's a concern. And I know some would say, well, he could hit 35 home runs. Yeah, and he could strike out 200 times. So think about the 35 home runs plus the RBIs he drives in, and then think about the strikeouts with the bases loaded that the RBIs he didn't drive in. Mm-hmm. So, the strikeout thing, some people don't want to acknowledge it as being the ultimate rally killer, in my opinion, but it's there. And while we accept it more, that doesn't make it right.
Who was the biggest surprise for you in the first half of the season for the Cardinals?
Pedro Pages. He was like the fourth catcher. He and Michael Ciani. Ciani was the fourth outfielder in spring training. And when Scott couldn't hit, Carlson got hurt, Edmund wasn't here, all of a sudden we ran him out there. And at the first week of the season, he said, this guy can't hit. He's made himself into a little bit more of a depth hitter. I like to see him bunt a little bit more. But I think he's been one of the pleasant surprises who I think has to be mentioned in the Gold Glove conversation. Mm-hmm. His metrics will tell you this guy catches everything that he needs to get to and the things he doesn't get to. Things that most people don't get to.
Claves, everybody would love to have all-stars up and down the roster, right? You'd like to have 26 of them.
I'd rather have champions.
I would too.
Yeah.
Well, so that's a great way to lead into this. Because you get around the ballpark as little as I do, and you hear things, but you're around it every day. So you get to see the value of a guy like Brandon Crawford, who is a champion. And I keep hearing from players, coaches, manager, how valuable he is. What makes Brandon Crawford valuable?
Soft-spoken, very observant, engaging, seen it all, done it all, knows when to interject himself when it comes to a sense of humor, but the way he can be around younger players and not say, you got to do this, you got to do that, but ask him, what are you seeing? Or, I remember when I was playing, this guy threw me that same pitch one time, and this is what I tried. Little things, not trying to be a drill sergeant, but just saying, hey, these are some of the things I've seen. May help, may not, but he's been a very good teammate. I mean, he hasn't played as much as maybe he would like to. But for him to even say, hey, I'll play third base, never played it in his life. He'd never played third base anywhere in his life until he got to the Cardinals.
That's wild.
And he's only pitched the one other time. That was the only time he'd ever done anything other than play shortstop his entire career.
I don't think he gets enough credit. I think Ollie's had a hell of a year. I think he's been really good with what he's been given.
I agree. You know what? You've been around him. You know him as I do. And Randy, you know him. You're down there talking to him. He is the most cerebral, transparent, organized manager I've been around a long time.
But it comes down to winning. I mean, ultimately, it's wins or losses.
And he believes in that. I mean, he doesn't make excuses.
And, when you don't have Goldie and Arenado playing to their level, you had all the injuries in the outfield. Jordan Walker's supposed to be your everyday right fielder. Your pitching at times has been suspect. I think he's done a really good job.
Well, let's take it one step further. When you open the season with 3 guys in your outfield that were not even considered.
That's my point.
And you're finding yourself 4 games over. And, oh, by the way, those 3 outfielders still aren't here. You're playing with a 4th option center fielder. You're playing with a guy whose position before last year was batter's box. You're playing with a guy who made his bones playing on the infield in Brendan Donovan, coming off of arm surgery. And you're getting productivity out of those guys, unlike I think a lot of people would not have expected. So you're spot on. And you're playing with a guy who's on course to strike out 200 times, and you're still winning. So I think you hit the nail on the head, Dan. I think he deserves a lot more credit than he gets. And sometimes I think, and you saw it with Tony TV, those answers he would give after the game, all professional answers, but maybe not the answer you want because he's not throwing somebody under the bus. He's not angry. He's not going back and forth. He gives you an answer if you ask a question. And one of the things that I'm learning, and you guys see this in our business, we have people who will make a statement, and then you just look at them and say, okay, well, where's your question at?
Right.
So what now Ollie will do is say, now, where's your question? And he's, oh, well, I answer a question. He'll go, no. And then move on to the next question just to let you know, hey, I don't mind asking the question, but if I'm here to sit here and agree with you, agree with yourself.
Right.
You don't have to agree with me. Agree with yourself.
Yeah. Mike Clayborn with us. We're going to head down the stretch and get a couple of more takes. And I want to find out what Mike Clayborn's most fun broadcasting has been in a 40-plus year career. We'll find out what that is next on 101 ESPN. Hey, when a business has been around for 56 years, you know they're doing it right. And Chesterfield Fence and Deck has been around for 56 years. Family owned in St. Louis since 1968. And they do amazing work on fences and decks, sunrooms, screen rooms, pergolas. As a matter of fact, you can get a cedar or a vinyl fence or deck. And they have this beautiful vinyl Vecca deck with a pewter color right now that is amazing. It's a new color for 2024, and it really looks fabulous. You can see it at chesterfieldfence.com, or you can stop by their facility in Chesterfield Valley, or they can bring you a sample out to your house. Just give them a call at 800-300-4054. Chesterfield Fence and Deck will come out, show you everything they do. They can provide you a free, no-obligation project design, and you can witness the amazing work that they've done for hundreds and thousands of St. Louisans over the years. And at Chesterfield Fence and Deck, they're A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. So you know that you're working with a great company with their own crews, with their own people, with their own equipment and trucks. They really are terrific. I have my fence from Chesterfield Fence and Deck. You'll love working with them. 800-300-4054 on the web at chesterfieldfence.com. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best. It's the Rizzuto Show from 105.7 The Point to this year's softball home run derby, July 27th, hosted by the O'Fallon Hoots at CarShield Field in O'Fallon, Mo. There's going to be a fast pitch home run derby that night as well, featuring Rick Ankiel and Brian Jordan and more MLB alumni. GA tickets are available now for just $15. Brought to you by Swiss Air Heating and Cooling, Faster House, and Zwickle Light. Get all the details on this year's O'Fallon Hoots home run derby now at 101ESPN.
Are you in that thing? You guys participating?
I am not. We were there last year. I was kind of like the MC. Brooke participated, though.
Yeah, and I'm in it this year.
Really?
I do not know how much I will contribute,
right.
but yeah. Might look like Gorman out there sometimes. If we're talking about the strikeouts. So, I wish I could look like Gorman the other times.
We only need one of those in St. Louis right now, okay?
So Mike Clayborn has lived some childhood dreams of so many St. Louisans, working with Mike Shannon, doing post-game with Bob Gibson, spending a lot of time with Gibby, doing Billiken basketball with Rammer, having the opportunity to do as much as you did with both the football Cardinals and the Rams. If you could pick out one thing that has been the most fun and enjoyable for you in your broadcasting career, what has it been?
It's live at Shannon's.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some other medalists on the podium, but live at Shannon's, because you just never knew what was going to happen, other than you were going to laugh about something. And the guests that we would have that ranged from Hall of Fame athletes to coaches. We even had Lieutenant General Hal Moore on, who was in a movie. They made the movie When We Were Soldiers, and Mel Gibson portrayed him in. We've had so many different people, and for people who'd never done it before, it was fascinating to see how they responded. Randy Johnson, good example, who'd never done a radio show. So we're doing it, and so when it's over, he says, "That's it, we're done?" Yeah, this is all we're doing. Oh, man, I thought this was going to be harder. And he sat for another hour off the air just talking. Yeah, that to me was it doesn't get any better than that. Now, there's some things. You mentioned some people I work with. And when you've been around as long as me, you normally work with them at least twice. But in this case, having fun with Rammer and you and our days at KMOX, Danny Mac and I have had some fun together. I can't think of many bad experiences. Well, wait a minute. Let me think about it.
That was going to be my follow-up question.
There's one or two that'll never happen again. But other than that, I've had a ball. But Mike Shannon and what he meant to me on and off the air, the work doing those shows was priceless.
Can you give us one Randy or Dan story? Or two, or three.
That you can repeat, please, on the air.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know if I can repeat them. Well, I'll tell you one that I still, when Danny would do it. So he and I used to like this movie, Coming to America. All right?
It's a great
we
movie.
knew the lines backwards and forwards. And so one night, they had a relief pitcher. Pittsburgh, right? Tony Watson. So Danny says, Tony Watson's in the ball game now. Not sure if he's related to the well-known entertainer Randy Watson from Sexual Chocolate. So he goes into this whole routine, and he's working with Al, and Al has no idea what the hell he's talking about, right? And then he goes, he plays so beautiful, don't you agree? And so now I'm literally on the floor, and so my other friends who are listening is like, hey, man, are you watching the game? As a matter of fact, I am. Is he? Yes, he is. But we had so much fun on road trips, just hanging out, and I miss him. I miss hanging out with him. We had a lot of fun.
Miss you too, Claves.
Randy and I go back to our days at KMOX. We both weren't sure why we were there. And we had a lot of fun doing that. The Sports Open Line, that's when it was really in vogue. And you know, the business has changed. I mean, people now have more options now than what they did when we were breaking into business. But man, we made the most of it. We made the most of it. Again, I can have a pleasant story about virtually everybody I work with.
Virtually?
Yeah, virtually. You're right. There's a couple of them that just probably won't make the air. And ironically, I know some people would say, what about this guy? Yeah. Like, I'll give you a good example. Like Kevin Slayton. Kevin has been around for a long time, and he and I used to work together. That's some of the most fun I ever had. I would just watch him just go tapioca and just watch. But you know, there was a method to it, and I appreciate it. And I consider him still a good friend. We had a great time. As I mentioned, Rammer, Frank Cusimano. I mean, there's everybody virtually in town I work with. I've had a good time with, and I'm loving working with Ricky and John. Jim Jackson, I mean, the greatest engineer there, and Jim Jackson should be in the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame for what he's meant to broadcast.
Good call.
Period.
Yeah, he goes back to Jack Buck and Mike Shannon and all those guys.
Yeah. St. Louis U basketball,
Right.
Blues High. He's done everything.
Yeah.
Right.
So he should be part of that, and hopefully it'll happen sooner than later.
Yeah. So the Cardinals get started in Atlanta on Friday night.
Atlanta, yep.
Tough schedule in August. How do you feel about this club?
I like it. I like them. I like their makeup. I like the chemistry in the clubhouse. I like the way they're organized. And I'll tell you something, they don't get enough credit for. I love this coaching staff. I really like what they do. They all do something different, but they do it really well. And I see a guy in Stubby Clapp who should be a manager. I see a guy in Daniel Descalzo who could be a manager. Pop Warner could be anybody's bench coach. You look about at Willie McGee and the respect he still commands from players who come to him and say, what can we work on today? You know, you look at Dusty Blake, who's really making a name for himself. I love the staff. And while Ollie's the manager, he trusts the guys that work around him. And they have their job, and they do it really, really well. And, you know, there's so many other things about the organization. I'll tell you really where it kind of starts. It starts with the clubhouse. With the guys like Mark Walsh and people like that who when you come to the park, everything is in order. So you don't have to, because we had a guy who should go nameless. If the toast in his room was cold, his day was a disaster, okay? He was just that anal. But when you walk in that car,
Jaime Garcia, right?
Yeah.
Well, Dave Duncan told us that story on the air.
Hey,
you were trying to go nameless.
Listen, man, this guy would just come unglued.
Yeah.
But yeah, it starts there, and then it just works up to coaches and players. And because we have these veteran players, I don't want to omit Matt Carpenter, what he's meant. Those guys, you know, you can climb on Mo's back about a lot of things. But bringing these veterans in was the best thing they could have ever done to be able to compete. Now, they need a little help, as I said earlier, but if they get a little bit more help we'll be playing in October. We won't be playing just the first round.
Yeah. We are all proud to have you as a friend, and we thank you for coming by.
Well, I appreciate it. It's always good to visit with you cats, and also you as well, Brooke.
Yeah.
And Rocky, my man. Hey, man, how's things over in Norwood these days? All right.
We appreciate Mike Clayborn stopping by.
Anytime.
Thank you. And a great job today by our producer, audio, video engineer, the one, the only Matthew Rocchio.
Pleasure.
Brooke, did you have fun today?
Yes.
Daniel.
Pleasure.
You were an awesome.
Oh, no, you're the best.
You're beautiful.
You're a beautiful man.
And we thank you for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show. For all of us, until tomorrow morning at 7, have a happy hump day, St. Louis. Hey, did you know that you can advance your career with Lindenwood University? Online, flexible, accessible learning. Choose from over 35 industry-relevant degree programs, including options for military students. Learn more at online.lindenwood.edu. They do such an amazing job at Lindenwood's online program because they have the top MBA in St. Louis, the top-ranked online MBA in Missouri, according to Forbes Education last year in this. They have affordable, industry-relevant online programs, and if you're a working adult and you're looking to advance your career, just get a postgraduate degree from Lindenwood University.